In our past life, Liu didn't return from the countryside until 8 years later. After coming back to the city, he claimed his health had been ruined during those rural years. Heartbroken, I began living with him in polite but distant harmony. But then, my mother-in-law brought home some distant niece to live with us. My niece came with her 2 young children in tow. Feeling sorry for their hardship, I often brought them clothes and food. Yet the woman would always stare at Liu with stubborn defiance and wounded eyes, tears brimming but never falling. This repeatedly provoked Liu's furious glare toward me. Who do you think you're insulting by sending old clothes every day? After that, the so-called niece dressed better than I did, and the 2 kids became little tyrants at home, spitting at me daily. I later discovered that niece was actually Liu's second wife from the countryside. When I opened my eyes, I'd traveled back to the day Liu was about to leave for the countryside. Li Wen, I don't know how long this rural assignment will last. Maybe we should hold off on getting our marriage license for now. I nodded firmly. All right. Li Wen, are you serious? Liu never expected I'd actually agree. His face turned a sickly pallor, cycling through shades like a painter's palette. I answered earnestly, all right. We won't register it if you say so. Liu choked on his words. Well, actually, that's not. Just then, my workmate called out to me. I called back. Liu, I'm heading out first. Turning around, I linked arms with my friend as we walked toward the cafeteria. Li Wen, isn't your boyfriend supposed to be leaving for the countryside? What's he doing here? Seeing my silence, my friend poked my forehead in frustration. Listen, we don't even know what'll happen to him out there. Don't you dare do anything stupid. His mother's been bedridden for years, you know. Getting involved with him now, that's just jumping into the fire with your eyes wide open. My hand holding the chopsticks froze midair, trembling uncontrollably. No one knew I'd been reborn. In my past life, I died on the very day Liu's twins were to be married. That was when the mother-in-law I'd served for over a decade had just passed away peacefully. He said, all these years, I've held off on mentioning divorce out of respect for Mom still being around. But now that our child is getting married, you staying here will only make our family a laughingstock. That very night, all my belongings were thrown out of the house. I'm willing to divorce, but I want the house and an equal split of our savings. The apartment was allocated to me as employee housing. The title's always been in my name. They refused, saying I didn't bear any children for the Liu family, and demanded I leave with nothing. I won't accept that. Fearing I'd cause a scene at their son's wedding, they locked me in an abandoned warehouse. I froze to death on that bitterly cold winter night. I blinked hard, fighting back tears. In my past life, my childhood friend had told me those very same words, but I didn't take it to heart. The next day, despite Liu's half-hearted resistance, I dragged him to get our marriage certificate. After Liu went to the countryside, I moved into his family home and took on the responsibility of caring for his mother and younger sister. Liu's mother had a terrible temper and was obsessively neat. The slightest mistake would send her smashing things. My forehead was split open and bleeding from being struck multiple times. My sister-in-law kept clamoring about taking college entrance exams. But how could a girl who hadn't even finished middle school possibly pass? Liu's mother accused me of being heartless for preventing her from continuing education. I had no choice but to spend my hard-earned wages funding her repeated night school attempts. So many times when I was on the verge of giving up, it was the letters Liu sent me from the countryside that kept me going. He said, Li Wen, you've been through so much. Li Wen, you can't imagine how much I miss you. Please take good care of Mom and our sister. When I return, we'll never be apart again. I even sent him my last remaining savings every month when he casually mentioned how hard life was in the countryside. Little did I know, he'd already taken another wife there. After waiting 8 long years for his return, that woman and her 2 children followed him to the city within a month. Liu's mother doted on those 2 brats like they were the apples of her eye. Time and again, they'd spit on me and even put live rats in my bed. Yet she insisted I must have been secretly bullying her precious angels. Even Liu called me petty. It wasn't until I'd nursed my mother-in-law through her illness and they no longer needed their free live-in maid that their true colors finally showed. 3. Li Wen, are you really going to pass up this 3-month training opportunity in Jinghai with the factory team? My friend's words snapped me back to reality. In my past life, I gave up the Jinghai training for Liu's sake, which cost me my promotion eligibility. Meanwhile, the colleagues who went to Jinghai kept climbing the corporate ladder, while I ended up among the first wave of laid-off workers 8 or 9 years later. Of course I'm going. I'll talk to the factory manager right after this. I started eating faster. That's great. I was afraid you'd actually pass up this opportunity. Listen, you're our model worker. If you don't go, who should? I wolfed down my meal and went straight to the factory manager. telling him I'd changed my mind about going to Jinghai. The manager had wanted me for the assignment all along and was visibly displeased when I'd refused earlier. Seeing me reconsider, he immediately agreed without hesitation. Excellent. I've already arranged your train tickets. You'll depart in 3 days. A wave of relief finally washed over me. Lu Yu was already waiting nearby when I got off work. Li Wen. My mom cooked a chicken and asked me to invite you for dinner. Since I wanted to talk to Lu Yu about breaking up anyway, I nodded in agreement. But when we got to Lu Yu's place, the kitchen was completely deserted. Not even a single chicken feather in sight. A young one with a greedy appetite is no good. Go peel the potatoes. We're having steamed potatoes for supper. I stayed seated without moving. Li Wen, Mom's calling you. I finally looked up. Wait, didn't you invite me over for chicken? Where's the chicken? Lu Yu's expression darkened. In my past life, I would never do anything to embarrass him in public. Li Wen, my mom said chicken is expensive. Just boil some potatoes for dinner tonight. I couldn't help but chuckle as I stood up. Oh, so you tricked me into coming here just to cook for you. Sorry, I still have unfinished chores at home. I need to leave now. Hey, Li Wen, what are you doing? Lu Yu was about to chase after her. Let her go. How dare she give me attitude like this, with that kind of behavior? She still dreams of marrying into our family. She's delusional. Let's see who'd marry her after she's been with my son. If even you won't take her. I'd just reached the doorway when I froze in my tracks. Fine, since those are your words, starting today, Lu Yu and I are through. Lu Yu never expected me to stand my ground like this today. Li Wen, what are you doing? Apologize to my mother right now. His eyes were full of disapproval. And something else, panic, Lu Yu's mother sneered. Just let her leave. A woman pushing 30 still thinks she's some delicate flower. I shot Lu Yu and his mother a cold glance before slamming the door and leaving. 4. Both my parents passed away one after another in the past 2 years. According to our local customs, children aren't allowed to marry within 3 years of a parent's death. That's why my marriage plans got postponed, but Lu Yu had clearly promised to wait for me, saying my age didn't matter to him when my parents first passed away. He was genuinely kind to me and took good care of my daily needs. It was precisely because of his kindness that in my past life, I recklessly married him before he left for the countryside, all just to ease his worries about his mother and younger sister back home. What did I get in return? I went home with a bitter laugh. During dinner, Lu Yu showed up again. Li Wen, don't take it to heart with my mom. That's just how she is. Sigh. She was so upset she skipped dinner. Be a good girl and come apologize to my mom with me. Okay. When I said we shouldn't register our marriage yet, that was just anger talking. I was afraid you'd suffer alone after I left for the countryside. It might be years before I return, but now I see things clearly. I love you, and you love me, even if my mother objects. We're getting married. Let's go register tomorrow. Alright, Li Wen. I stared coldly at Lu Yu. That woman from the countryside hadn't shown up yet at this point. Logically speaking, Lu Yu shouldn't have hated me this much. Lu Yu, why do you hate me so much? I finally blurted out. Lu Yu froze. I hate you. I set down my chopsticks and stood up. Exactly. If you didn't hate me, why would you scheme against me like this? You knew damn well you might be stuck in the countryside indefinitely, yet you tried to trick me into becoming your family's servant, waiting hand and foot on your mother. Lu Yu froze for a moment, his face flushing red. Li Wen. What kind of nonsense is this? What do you take me for? Suddenly understanding, I said, oh, so you didn't mean it that way. Lu Yu gazed at me tenderly. Of course I didn't mean it like that. The only reason I want to marry you is because I love you. Did you forget I said I'd marry you? But we just broke up. Your mother was there too, wasn't she? I opened the door. Just go. Don't come back. I must have been blind in my past life, but in this lifetime, I want absolutely nothing to do with this person. Li Wen, are you serious? You're really leaving me? Lu Yu never expected me to follow through. I glared at him coldly. Should I stay just to become your family's unpaid maid? Lu Yu, your calculating mind is practically dripping off your face. Lu Yu glared at me darkly. Li Wen, we were betrothed from the start. Now that I'm being sent to the countryside, you want out. Well, I won't make it that easy for you. Little Tiger Bot prevents document forgery. For bookfinding bots, choose Little Tiger, reliable and trustworthy, no pitfalls, heavy checkmark. I walked over confidently and took a seat next to Zhou Yi. The man who pretended to be devoted finally showed his true colors. He shot me a vicious glare and walked away with a sneer. I spent the whole night on edge, wondering what Lu Yu was up to. On the very first day, I got summoned to the boss's office. The factory director stared at me with a grim expression. Comrade Lin, if you didn't want to go to Jinghai, you should have told me. What's with all this back and forth? Make up your mind. 5. The factory director's scolding left me stunned. What do you mean I'm not going to Jinghai? Boss, I didn't quite catch what you said. The factory director glanced at me. Didn't you send your partner to say you're not going to Jinghai anymore? I froze for a moment. Then fury took over. I never imagined Liu could be this shameless, suppressing my anger. I explained to the factory director, Sir, my partner's mother disapproves of our age difference, so we've broken up. I don't know. I don't understand why he came to you claiming I wouldn't go to Jinghai. I'm sorry. This is entirely my fault for not handling my personal matters properly, but please rest assured, Director, I will absolutely depart for Jinghai on schedule without fail. I sincerely apologize for causing you this unnecessary trouble. I bowed deeply. The factory manager never expected that Liu and I had already parted ways, let alone that he'd stoop to such actions afterward. His expression softened as he nodded. I knew you wouldn't do something like this. You, go sort out your personal matters properly. Don't let trivial affairs interfere with your work. Understood. I nodded repeatedly and swore it would never happen again. After a few more warnings from the factory director, I was finally allowed back to the workshop, clenching my lips. I waited until the noon shift ended before asking the workshop supervisor for leave and heading straight to Liu's place. Standing at Liu's doorstep, I kicked the courtyard gate wide open. The Zhou family of 3 was having dinner in the courtyard. Startled by the noise, they finally turned to look at me. Well, look who's here. Li Jinhua, Liu's mother, scoffed while shoveling food into her mouth. Thought you were too good for our family. What brings you here now? Only Liu seemed to have anticipated my arrival. He stood up with a smile. Li Wen, you're here. Come join us for dinner. Acting as if he'd completely forgotten yesterday's incident, Liu pulled me along by the hand. His sister didn't even glance my way, just kept shoveling food into her mouth. 6. With a cold sneer, I abruptly flipped the dining table over. A loud crash echoed as everything on the table scattered across the floor. The 3 members of Liu's family stared dumbfounded at the mess before turning disbelieving eyes toward me. Li Wen, what the hell are you doing? Liu snapped out of his daze and roared at me. His mother snapped back to her senses. Li Wen, what the hell are you doing barging into my house? I clapped my hands with a cold laugh, staring at Liu. What am I doing? You tried to take away my livelihood, so I came to return the favor and destroy yours. What's wrong? Does it hurt now? Liu's face suddenly changed as realization dawned. Li Wen, what? What do you mean? His eyes kept darting away, too afraid to meet my gaze. I sneered at Li Jinhua. Oh Li Jinhua, I've already told you I don't want your son anymore, but just look at what he's doing. So terrified I'd leave him if I went to Jinghai, he rushed to the factory declaring we should marry, just to stop me from going. TSK, didn't you claim yesterday you thought I wasn't good enough, yet your son can't live without me? Desperate for my approval, what do you think we should do? I turned to look at Liu. If you really can't live without me, we could go get married right now. Liu's face lit up with joy. Li Wen, are you serious? Before I could speak, Liu got slapped hard by his mother. Worthless trash, what are you so happy about? Can't you find anyone else? She clearly looks down on you, yet you still want to marry her. Liu held back his temper. Mom, you don't understand. I'll explain later. Then he turned to me. Li Wen, are you serious? Should we get our marriage license tomorrow? I nodded. Absolutely. Let's get our marriage certificate before you leave for the countryside. Liu's face lit up with joy as he nodded repeatedly, gazing at me with deep affection. Li Wen, I knew you still had feelings for me. You were just saying those breakup words in anger yesterday, weren't you? I shook my head. Of course not. I never liked you in the first place. Liu's face stiffened. Well, since you can't live without me, I suppose I could take pity on you and be with you. As soon as I finished speaking, I saw a vein bulge on Liu's forehead. He was clearly holding something back. Li Wen, you've got quite the sense of humor, he said through barely contained anger. I sneered coldly. Liu truly has a devious mind. 7. To keep me here tending to his mother. He'd even endure such humiliation. Fine, if you can take it, let's see how long your patience lasts. I turned to Li Jinhua. Since we're getting married, I do have some conditions. Fine, Li Wen, just say it. Liu's suppressed anger vanished, as if he genuinely loved me. My condition is sending your mother and sister back to the countryside. Can you do that? The moment I finished speaking, Liu shot up from his seat. Li Wen, what did you just say? 8. Smack. I slapped him across the face. You're already yelling at me before we're even married. What kind of life would we have after the wedding? Liu clenched his fists, looking ready to lunge at me. But Li Jinhua was the first to lose her temper. Li Wen, you little bitch. How dare you act like a Zhou family member before even marrying my son? Disgusting. Get out of my sight. Get out. I swear as long as I live, you'll never. Mom, calm down. Liu Yu pulled Li Jinhua by the arm, but Li Jinhua was beyond reason, struggling upright. She slapped Liu Yu hard across the face. You ungrateful wretch. After all the years I've struggled to raise you, you'd send me back to the countryside for some woman. Get out. You're no son of mine. Liu Yu's sister clutched his arm desperately. Brother, I don't want to go back to the countryside. I won't go back. Zhou Yi was being shaken so violently she snapped. Enough. Neither expected the usually refined Liu Yu to shout at them. Li Jinhua stared at him in stunned silence. Oh my god, heaven help us. This is a sin, a downright sin. Li Jinhua's wailing soon drew all the neighbors over. Someone asked Li Jinhua what was wrong. Why was she crying so bitterly? My son insists on marrying that cursed spinster who brings misfortune to parents. And they threatened to send us back to our hometown if we got married. What a cruel fate. After all the years I spent raising my son, he's just been snatched away like this. Oh heavens, though Li Jinhua has been paralyzed for years, the family still has some savings and lives comfortably. Now she's wailing at the top of her lungs, full of vigor, no less. All eyes turned to me with eager curiosity. I hastily took a big step back. Hey, don't you go pinning all your nonsense on me. I broke up with your son yesterday. He's the one who shamelessly showed up at the factory proposing marriage. That's why I'm here to set things straight. I pointed at the mess on the floor. See this? I even flipped their table. If I were really about to marry into the Zhou family, would I dare do such a thing? With just a few words, I'd cleanly severed any perceived connection between me and the Zhou family. The overturned table and chaotic scene on the floor convinced everyone of my words. Liu Yu looked visibly distressed as he politely ushered the neighbors out, murmuring that we still had matters to discuss. Only after all the neighbors had left did he finally turn to look at me. His face was tense as he said, Li Wen, maybe you should head back first. I'll come find you later. I knew Liu Yu probably hadn't shared his plans with Li Jinhua yet, and I was happy to give them this opportunity. Come talk to me when you've made up your mind. I tilted my chin up and walked away without hesitation. I had just stepped out of the courtyard when I paused outside the gate, then quietly slipped back in. Sure enough, the three people in the courtyard had vanished, and the main hall's door was shut tight. After a moment's thought, I circled around to the back wall and climbed over again. What? You're going to the countryside? Li Jinhua's voice suddenly rang out. Mom, keep your voice down. There was a brief silence before Li Jinhua's voice sounded again. So son, you're saying we should let that little tramp move in to take care of me, Mom, after I'm gone. Do you really think little sis will look after you? No, I won't do it. I need to study. I refuse to be stuck at home. The sister-in-law's defiant voice rang out. See, Mom, if I weren't around, could you really count on her? Li Wen's decent and holds a proper job. If we get married, she'll take good care of you, and she earns a decent salary too. After I'm gone, just tell her whatever you'd like to eat or drink. Let Li Wen handle all the household chores. Honestly, Mom, she's been giving you attitude even before our wedding. Once she's officially your daughter-in-law, do you really think she'd dare talk back to you? I didn't catch the rest of their words as I carefully climbed back over the low wall. 9. The next day after work, Liu Yu came to my place again. Li Wen, my mom cooked chicken and asked me to invite you for dinner. When my amused gaze met his, Liu Yu's face instantly flushed crimson. Well, today, we actually slaughtered a chicken. I glanced at the pickled vegetables left on the lunch table, feeling a bitter taste in my mouth. Not bad timing. It's been almost a week since I last had meat. Seeing me get up, Liu Yu couldn't help but chuckle. Come on, my mom's still waiting at home. Watching Liu Yu grinning like a blooming flower, I couldn't help but sneer inwardly. I'll be leaving tomorrow. Liu Yu's rural assignment begins tomorrow as well. Seems he's desperate to get our marriage registered before leaving with peace of mind tomorrow. I wonder if he'll still be smiling when he realizes he's been played. Before long, we arrived at Liu Yu's place. The moment I stepped inside, I spotted a huge bowl of chicken soup on the table. I stirred the contents with my chopsticks only to find a few chicken heads, feet, and offal. The broth looked like plain water, completely devoid of any chicken aroma. Li Wen, what are you doing? Li Jinhua sat to the side, looking at me with a guilty conscience. I sneered and slammed my chopsticks on the table, turning to Liu Yu. Liu Yu, is this what you meant when you said your mother invited me over for chicken soup? Looks to me like she invited me over for plain water. Liu Yu frowned at me, glanced at the pot, then suddenly slapped his sister to the ground. His sister covered her face, staring at him in disbelief. Liu Yu turned to me sheepishly. Li Wen, don't take it to heart. My sister just has a sweet tooth. Bro, it wasn't me. Mom was the one who. Before she could finish, Liu Yu slapped her again. Get inside now. The girl shot me a venomous glare before slamming the door shut with a loud bang. Sobbing as she did, Li Wen, come on, have a seat. He then ladled me a big bowl of chicken soup. Mom called me here to apologize to you, right, Mom? Li Jinhua gave me a sour look and mumbled a vague hum, keeping her mouth firmly shut otherwise. Seeing his mother's silence, Liu added, Li Wen, my mom and sister truly mean no harm, they're just overly fond of you. Me, so fond they serve me boiled water as soup. So fond they'd trick me into your Zhou household like you did, to slave away like livestock. I've gained a whole new appreciation for just how thick-skinned Liu can be. Is this even edible chicken soup? This isn't an apology, you're practically begging me to cut all ties with you right this instant. Seeing me obsess over the chicken soup, Liu reluctantly offered, well, we've got another chicken at home. You can take it back later, my mom mentioned it this morning. Since when did I? Mom, you agree with me, don't you? Mom, Liu glared at Li Jinhua through gritted teeth. Li Jinhua choked back her words and could only nod with a pallid face, glancing at the visibly pained Li Jinhua. I suppressed a chuckle. Alright, I forgive you. Really, Liu hadn't expected me to yield so easily. Just tell me when we're getting the marriage certificate. I was done with his evasiveness. My eyes swept across the courtyard. You mentioned there was a chicken. Where is it? Liu hesitated. Then said through gritted teeth, It's behind the kitchen. I'll get it for you in a minute. So we'll go pick it up tomorrow morning. Make it tomorrow afternoon. I'm busy in the morning. The most important thing is, I've got a train to catch tomorrow morning. Liu will be coming tomorrow evening. Liu initially wanted to persuade me to go in the morning, but seeing my expression darken, he swallowed his frustration and nodded, afraid I'd throw another tantrum. Fine. We'll go in the afternoon then. I stood up. Give me the chicken. I'm heading back. Liu suppressed his anger and stormed into the kitchen. Li Jinhua stood trembling with rage, glaring at me like she wanted to tear me apart. Oh dear, Auntie, you wouldn't refuse to give me the chicken, would you? Just say the word, I can do without it. Shut up. Li Jinhua winced at the sight of the rooster Liu produced. Take it away, with a quiet laugh. I snatched the rooster from Liu's hands and walked off. In my past life, I slaved away for that Zhou family my entire life. I only took one chicken with me, what a steal for them. 10, worried I couldn't finish a whole chicken alone, I prepared the rooster as poached chicken, ate half that night, then polished off the rest the next morning, boiled over a dozen eggs before finally making it to the train station right on time. After meeting up with a few colleagues, we boarded the train to Jinghai. 11. The training program in Jinghai lasted 3 months. Just as the training was about to end, a new batch of machines arrived at the factory, so the manager sent one colleague back ahead of us. The other colleague and I ended up staying longer. We ended up staying 3 extra months before finally wrapping up our studies in Jinghai and returning home. That trip ended up keeping me away for over half a year. After getting home, I gave the whole place a thorough cleaning before heading to the factory bright and early the next day. Right after returning, another colleague and I immediately rolled up our sleeves with the workers to tinker with the new machinery. By the time the new batch of machines had completely replaced the old production line, I'd already been promoted to workshop supervisor, overseeing a dozen different factory floors. Soon enough, news of my return reached Liu's mother, Li Jinhua. Li Jinhua had someone wheel her over to the factory gates on a flatbed cart. The factory gates were packed with workers during the shift change. Li Jinhua started wailing the moment she arrived. But I'd already warned the factory manager about this. I told them I'd broken up with Liu, but his bedridden mother still expects me to wait on her. She'll definitely make a scene at the factory now that I'm back. She wants me to go take care of her at the Zhou household. The factory manager was furious when he found out. If I were still my old self, even the factory director wouldn't be able to help. But now, after 6 months of training in Jinghai, I'd become a key technical expert at the factory. There's no way the director would stand by while someone like Li Jinhua bullies me. So I'd already instructed the security guards to immediately restrain Li Jinhua if she showed up causing trouble. The moment Li Jinhua started screaming, the guards swiftly intercepted her and efficiently had her arrested for disorderly conduct. When the factory director and I rushed to the police station after work, we found Li Jinhua had already been making a scene there for quite some time. The moment she spotted me, she shrieked hoarsely, "You bitch, you filthy whore, finally showing your face. How dare you play my son for a fool, you goddamn slut." Before I could respond, the factory director frowned and asked, "Officer, what's going on here?" The officer handling the matter turned to me. "This comrade says her son was supposed to get married, but the bride ran away on the wedding day. She couldn't accept it, hence the commotion." The factory director already knew about my breakup with Liu. When I was about to leave for Jinghai for training, Liu even went behind my back to talk to the director. trying to sabotage my opportunity. The director, who already disliked Lu Yu, pulled the officer aside and explained the whole messy history between me and Lu Yu. When they returned, the officer looked at me and asked, "Is what your director said true? You two broke up long ago?" I kept nodding, ignoring Li Jinhua shrieking beside me. Not only did the factory director know about this, but even Li Jinhua's neighbors were aware. She repeatedly called me an old maid nobody wanted, saying I shouldn't even dream of setting foot in her house. Bullshit, Li Jinhua screamed hysterically. You promised to marry my son and even took a chicken from our house, you shameless liar. I looked helplessly at the officer. Tell me, would you let your own sister marry into such a family over a chicken? The officer instinctively shook his head repeatedly. After realizing his reaction, he shot me a stern look and cleared his throat. We'll look into this matter. You may go home for now. As soon as Li Jinhua heard I was leaving, she shouted, "Officers, don't let her go. She's a con artist who promised to marry my son. Now that my son's been sent to the countryside and I've got no one to care for me, you must arrest her, or make her come take care of me at home. Officers, you must stand up for justice in my case." The factory director had never encountered such an unreasonable woman before. Sweating profusely, he simply dragged me out of the police station. Tisk tsk. This kind of family still expects a daughter-in-law. Is their son some kind of prized catch or what? I shook my head in amusement. After parting ways with the director, I thought for a moment and headed toward Li Jinhua's neighborhood. After asking around, I finally learned that Lu Yu had waited for me for ages before his rural assignment, hoping we'd get married. When he couldn't find me, he even came looking for me at my place. Only when he saw my empty house did he realize I'd played him for a fool, but his train ticket to the countryside was non-refundable. He had no choice but to go. He left for the countryside in bitter resentment, leaving behind his mother and younger sister. His sister was an impractical dreamer, obsessed with studying for college despite her poor grades and refusal to find work. Every day she had to wait on Li Jinhua. The cornbread served to Li Jinhua was rock hard, and the meals were barely fit for pigs. Li Jinhua had been stewing with resentment, telling all the neighbors she'd make a scene the moment I returned. She even vowed to drag me into the Zhou household to wait on her. The neighbors thought she'd lost her marbles, but when they heard Li Jinhua actually took her tantrum to the police station, some couldn't stomach it. They swore they'd tell the plain truth if officers came asking. After thanking everyone, I went to the supply cooperative to buy several portions of brown sugar, distributing them to each household before leaving. 12. Later, Li Jinhua caused another scene at the factory, calling me a slut who'd slept with her son and trying to ruin my reputation. Furious, I immediately wrote a letter to Lu Yu's rural production brigade. In the letter, I detailed how Lu Yu held problematic ideological views, and how the entire Zhou family shared these improper beliefs. I'm both a model worker and technical expert at the factory. If they keep this up, I'll go straight to their brigade's public security office. Soon enough, Lu Yu's rural brigade sent me a letter back, promising they'd assign someone to re-educate him with ideological work and whatnot. I stifled a laugh as I tucked the letter away. This time, let him stew in the countryside for a few more years. 13. Over a year later, the factory director introduced me to his nephew Zhou Yi. His nephew had entered university 2 years prior and was newly assigned as an accountant at our factory. After spending some time with Zhou Yi, I found we shared many common interests and decided to start a relationship. Shortly after marriage, we welcomed a son, and Zhou Yi was promoted to deputy factory director 5 years later. 2 years later, Zhou Yi and I divorced decisively due to irreconcilable differences, compounded by his affair with a secretary. After the divorce, I quit my job and ventured into business, moving south with my son. The southern region was brimming with opportunities at the time. Drawing from my past experiences, I quickly established myself there, launching a garment factory and capitalizing on the property boom to expand into real estate. My son graduated from a prestigious university, spent 3 years training in my company, and got married just last month. Since all my business partners are in the south, it was only natural to hold the wedding banquet there. But considering our son carries the Zhou family name and we still have relatives back in our hometown, we decided to host another reception there. On our way back, my son and daughter-in-law stayed by my side the whole time. When we arrived at the hometown reception, to my amusement, I spotted not just Zhou Yi but also Lu Yu and his wife. Seeing the disheveled old woman by Lu Yu's side, I was suddenly haunted by memories of my past life. This woman never had to serve her mother-in-law or sisters-in-law. I bore all those burdens alone. She was doted on by Lu Yu, and they carried on their secret affair for decades. Perhaps forbidden fruit truly tastes sweeter. The same couple who were once inseparable now stand apart. avoiding each other's gaze. How strange. Now that they can be together openly, why do they seem worse off than before? Liu clearly noticed me too. He froze, as if countless words were caught in his throat. I calmly averted my gaze and spotted Zhou Yi, my ex-husband, over a decade ago. He was riding high after being promoted to deputy factory director. He was quickly swept off his feet by a young, beautiful woman and started openly parading around with his secretary. But business had been declining for years, and the factory actually went bankrupt a decade ago. Rumor has it Zhou Yi hasn't held a job outside the home all these years. I get it, former factory managers can't just swallow their pride that easily. His kept woman had already run off with most of his fortune when he hit rock bottom. When Zhou Yi saw me, he took 2 shamefaced steps backward, clearly too embarrassed to face me. The ceremony began shortly after, with our son and daughter-in-law serving tea to Zhou Yi and me. Zhou Yi looked at me with tears glistening in his eyes. Li Wen. When the banquet finally ended, I took a phone call and prepared to leave. 2 people came running after me. Li Wen, honey, wait up. After shouting simultaneously, they exchanged glances and started approaching me again. Li Wen, where are you going? I just remembered something. Zhou Yi cut off Liu Yu's words. Honey, our son told me you're still single. Could we possibly, sweetheart, is there still a chance for us? If not for me, then for our son. Just then, a bright red sports car screeched to a halt at the hotel entrance. A strikingly handsome young man removed his sunglasses. Boss, I nodded firmly. The young man deliberately planted a full French kiss on me right in front of them. The kiss left me completely dazed. Turning around, I saw Liu Yu and Zhou Yi staring at me with utter disbelief. Flushing with embarrassment, I gently pushed my brother away and waved at them both. See you later. 14. The bright red sports car roared off like a streak of lightning. The wind sent my hair whipping wildly around my face. Who said I've been single all this time? I just never remarried. That's all. The end. Story 2. When I was reborn to the moment Zhou Yi proposed divorce for the second time, I signed the papers without the slightest hesitation. Little did Zhou Yi know that a year later, the Zhou Group would suffer massive financial losses due to executive betrayals at headquarters, eventually collapsing under coordinated attacks from business rivals. The once glorious Zhou Empire crumbled overnight, reducing its heir to a penniless man who could only afford to live in a basement eating instant noodles. Back then I truly loved him, willing to endure hardship by his side, finding sweetness in mere companionship even when he had nothing. Yet I never imagined that even at this point, Zhou Yi still only had eyes for his cherished white moonlight. When I was in labor as a high-risk pregnancy, he abandoned me to care for her child. My baby and I died on the operating table waiting for his signature, while her son merely had a mild cold. Guching you, stop making a scene, just sign the papers. What's the point of dragging on this loveless marriage? I know you've wasted your youth staying with me all these years, so I'll make sure you're financially set for life, more than most people could ever dream of achieving. Zhou Yi initially showed some remorse, but his tone soon turned condescending. Laced with patronizing generosity, coming from an ordinary family, I knew I wasn't Zhou Yi's social equal. Blinded by devotion, I never asked for anything, not even touching the allowance he provided after marriage, supporting myself to preserve what I foolishly believed was our pure, untainted love. I never bothered to understand Zhou Yi's true thoughts. Looking back now, his sense of superiority made perfect sense. He never truly respected me. I was just a temporary comfort during his lonely moments. Thanks to President Zhou for catapulting an ordinary person like me to success overnight, I said with a smile. In this second life, my words held no sarcasm, only genuine gratitude. The bankruptcy of Zhou Corp and those hard times with Ian taught me the true value of money. Only when love-struck fools gain clarity do they truly awaken to reality. The past has faded like mist, nothing compares to cold, hard cash in hand. Men may betray you, but money never will. Zhou Ian was the first man I ever loved. Back in high school, when he rescued me from those senior bullies, he seemed like a god descended from heaven. I fell for him hopelessly, irrevocably. Even though his heart belonged to another girl, even though he had his own white moonlight, I kept loving him in silence. When his white moonlight abandoned him to go abroad, he married me in what seemed like bitter retaliation. I didn't mind. I happily signed the marriage certificate with him. I thought, even if Zhou Ian didn't love me, my genuine care and devotion would eventually move his heart. For over 8 years, 3,000 days and nights, I cared for him, stood by him, even gave him one of my kidneys after his drinking ruined his during his post-bankruptcy despair. At that point, you'd think even a stone would have warmed to my touch. But the moment his white moonlight returned divorced, weeping pitifully before him, he forgave her instantly. Then he placed divorce papers in front of me. insisting with finality that our marriage was over. In my past life, when Zhou Ian presented the divorce papers, I was in utter disbelief and refused to sign no matter what. Zhou Ian probably understood I needed time to process this, so he waited a month before bringing up divorce again. Seeing how heartbroken I was, Zhou Ian seemed to have a pang of conscience, this time. The divorce settlement was far more generous, an extra 20 million, plus that hillside villa and 2 300-square-meter retail spaces in the city's premier mall. Back then, my world revolved entirely around this man who didn't love me. Material possessions meant nothing. I stubbornly refused to divorce. Zhou Ian kept bringing it up time and again, his attitude growing increasingly hostile. After the Zhou family's bankruptcy stripped him of the means to care for his beloved, he stopped mentioning divorce. He couldn't bear to see his white moonlight Shenli suffer. Yet when I stood by him through his darkest days and things began looking up, the moment he regained his footing, he went back to being Shenli's devoted servant. Even when I was in labor, I wonder if he'll feel even a flicker of remorse when he learns both our child and I died on the operating table. Qingyu, don't say things in anger. I genuinely want you to have a good life. Review the divorce terms. If any clause dissatisfies you, name it and I'll accommodate. Zhou Ian spoke with uncharacteristic gentleness. In all our years together, this was the first time he'd shown such patience, only to coax me into signing the divorce papers. What a piece of work. I must have been blind to ever fall for someone like this, given a second chance at life without past glories. Zhou Ian's still handsome face now strikes me as utterly repulsive and hypocritical. Hearing Zhou Ian's offer, I picked up the divorce agreement. My mood lifted considerably upon seeing the property division plus an annual alimony payment of 1 million, but with Zhou Enterprises going bankrupt next year, installment payments are worthless IOUs. I'd gladly take a discount for immediate cash. Qingyu, do you have something on your mind? Seeing me scrutinize the divorce papers intently, Zhou Ian didn't believe I genuinely wanted a divorce. He assumed I was stalling with another tactic. Noticing my unusual expression, he asked, ignoring Zhou Ian's thoughts. I pointed at the agreement's clauses. If we're divorcing, let's make it clean, no lingering ties. Skip the annual alimony installments. Just give me the full amount up front. Watching him freeze, I added, I'm 29, even if I only live to 80. That's 51 years, rounding down, you owe me 50 million flat. Qingyu, what's 5 million to a Zhou family heir like you? If you're unwilling to pay, then this divorce is off. I said this deliberately, knowing Zhou Ian would assume I was just stalling for time. Fine, we'll settle it in one payment. Qingyu, state any other demands you have now. Zhou Ian's words filled me with secret delight. I could hardly wait to sign those property transfer papers, but outwardly I protested. After all these years loving you, wasting my youth on you, being willing to do anything for you, you'd really divorce me for Shenli without a second thought. Once you sign this, don't come crying with regrets. Shenli had been pulling out all the stops lately, freshly dumped and left penniless by her overseas husband. She'd set her sights on Zhou Ian like a vulture circling fresh meat, sweet-talking him until he was utterly smitten, determined to play white knight to his pitiful white moonlight. At my words, that fake look of guilt resurfaced on Zhou Ian's face, but he remained firm. Qingyu, I'm sorry, I don't love you. And right now Shenli is at her most vulnerable. She needs me. You'll regret this. Zhou Ian, with a heartbroken expression, I swiftly signed the divorce papers through tears after Zhou Ian had his secretary revise the agreement. Seeing me sign so decisively, that damn masochistic bastard Zhou Ian actually gave me a suspicious glance and started hesitating. Panicking at the thought of losing the fortune and bright future within reach, I cried even harder, slamming the pen down before him like a petulant child. I demanded, sign it now. We'll go straight to the civil affairs office. There are plenty of good men out there. You think Qingyu can't survive without you? Zhou Ian truly believed I couldn't live without him, though I'd been campus queen material, which ironically made me a bullying target. I'd never given other decent suitors a second glance all these years, devoted solely to Zhou Ian. All these years of my blind love and rose-colored glasses gave him absolute confidence. Zhou Ian, who had been hesitant, now signed the divorce papers without a second thought. Convinced I was just acting out of spite, he probably figured if he hesitated, I might change my mind once my anger cooled. Watching this unfold, I was thrilled. A fortune was about to land in my lap. Luxury apartments, villas, storefronts, all mine in an instant. To hide my excitement, I rubbed my eyes harder until they turned red and teary, terrified Zhou Ian might notice my joy and back out. Zhou Ian, you heartless bastard, let's go to the Civil Affairs Bureau right now. Whoever hesitates isn't human. Dragging Zhou Ian toward the bureau with tragic determination, I felt like an Oscar-winning actress reborn in that moment. I've always been patient with Zhou Ian, outbursts like this were rare for me. Qingyu, I'm sorry, Zhou Ian gave a nod to his secretary, who immediately understood. After making a quick call, the secretary approached with a slight bow. The car is ready, President Zhou. I waited with visible despair as Zhou Ian prepared to leave. The ringtone sounded. It was Zhou Ian's phone. Ian, come quick. Xiaoxiao fainted from a food allergy. I'm alone with her at the hospital. A woman's trembling voice came through the phone, thick with fear and panic, yet laced with growing dependence. Gu Qingyu immediately recognized Shenli's voice, a sound she could never forget even if she lived 100 lives, one that had been her deepest wound and darkest nightmare. Don't panic, Ollie, I'm coming right now. Zhou Ian blurted into the phone without hesitation, his face openly contorted with urgency and tenderness, not even bothering to hide it from me, his still legally wedded wife. Qingyu, Xiaoxiao's had an accident. You know Ollie's health has always been fragile, she can't handle this alone, I need to go immediately. Zhou Ian looked at me with apologetic yet resolute determination. This wasn't the first time something like this happened. I'd always been heartbroken before, but this time I was absolutely furious. We were literally at the final step, like having a perfectly roasted duck served right before you, only for someone to snatch it away at the last second. The sheer audacity made my blood boil. Zhou Ian, do you even realize what we're doing today? This isn't some shopping trip or amusement park visit. We're going to finalize our divorce, and you're still running back to your precious Ollie at a time like this. Gu Qingyu, stop being unreasonable. Xiaoxiao is just a child who lost her father. Have some compassion. I was so furious I nearly had a heart attack. That bastard. If we weren't still legally married and I didn't need to visit the Civil Affairs Bureau, I'd have slapped him twice across the face right then. Without waiting for my response, Zhou Ian immediately left with his secretary. I grabbed the divorce papers from the table, stuffed them into my bag, and hurried after him. Drive, Zhou Ian immediately ordered as he got in the car, and I barely squeezed in just as the door was closing. Gu Qingyu, why are you following us? Zhou Ian instinctively furrowed his brows, his face still wearing that same aloof, disdainful expression. Let me see just how sick Shenli's child really is that requires your personal attention. Are they on death's door or something? In my past life, when I was in labor, Shenli used this exact excuse to summon Zhou Ian away. The situation sounded so dire over the phone that he abandoned me without a second thought, remembering the child who shared my blood but never got the chance to be born. That familiar grief and hatred welled up inside me again. Gu Qingyu, I know you hate Shenli, but she and her child are innocent. They've done nothing wrong. I told you from the beginning I didn't like you. Targeting a child like this shows appalling upbringing. Either shut your mouth right now or get out of this car immediately. Zhou Ian had never been the accommodating type with me. His demeanor was always ice cold. The slight softening earlier had only been because of his guilt over the divorce. Now that he was worried about that wretched Shenli's child, all patience vanished. His face darkened like a thundercloud. The deeper my hatred grew, the harder I suppressed it. If Zhou Ian sensed anything, he'd truly make me get out of the car. At this critical juncture of our divorce, I couldn't let him slip away. That scumbag Zhou Ian and that bitch Shenli would get what they deserved eventually, but that didn't mean I couldn't collect some interest in advance. We arrived at the hospital in complete silence. The moment Zhou Ian got out of the car, he rushed to the nurse's station to locate Shenli and her daughter, then jogged anxiously toward them as if every second counted. Following behind, I saw Shenli and her daughter sitting there perfectly fine. Jiang Xiaoxiao, who was supposedly unconscious according to the phone call, was now sitting there with teary eyes. Both mother and daughter wore identical pitiful expressions, though the girl only had a few red rashes on her face. When Shenli spotted Zhou Ian's arrival, she ran over and sobbed into his arms. Oh Ian, I was so terrified. Xiaoxiao means everything to me now. I was petrified something might happen to her. Thank goodness the doctors managed to revive her. I stood there listening with cold amusement, while anaphylactic shock does happen. Those measly little rashes weren't even mild symptoms. Fainting was absolutely impossible, but that blind fool Zhou Ian, his brain must be clogged with shit to believe every word Shenli said. Remembering my innocent child from my past life who could have been saved if not for this bitch, my eyes burned red with rage as I lunged forward and slapped Shenli across the face repeatedly. Shenli took the slaps before she even processed what was happening. Completely stunned, still seething, I grabbed her hair and rained down more blows, the classic scene of a wronged wife beating the mistress. Zhou Ian never expected me to make such a move, so he didn't even try to stop me. When he finally snapped out of it, pure fury took over. Gu Qingyu, what the hell are you doing? How dare you lay hands on Ollie? Have you lost your damn mind? Zhou Ian looked absolutely livid, as if he was about to tear me apart any second. Not only did he yank me away from Shenli, he was ready to hit me too. Come see this shameless pair of scumbags. Zhou Ian, are you really going to treat your wife like this for some two-timing woman who dumped you years ago? As the crowd gathered around us, I shouted at Zhou Ian defiantly, staring him down while bracing for his slap. This scandal was about to get even juicier. Though I stayed silent the entire car ride to avoid being kicked out, I wasn't idle. I'd tipped off several top tabloids, with Zhou Ian being the Zhou heir. How could they resist such juicy gossip? They were probably already staking out the hospital room before we arrived, cameras ready to capture any scandalous moment. The relentless camera flashes left no doubt they'd captured every second of that scene. Gu Qingyu could already envision tomorrow's headlines. Zhou Xian caught cheating. Mistress showdown at hospital. The tabloids would have a field day with this love triangle drama. Despite Shenli's influence clouding his judgment, Zhou Ian wasn't completely foolish. As the Zhou family's carefully groomed successor, he instantly grasped the situation. His raised hand froze midair as reality hit him. Qingyu, this is all a misunderstanding. Stop making a scene, let's talk inside. Zhou Ian's secretary immediately stepped forward to defuse the situation. Since I orchestrated this deliberately, why would I let this farce end so easily? I'm not going in there. Why should I share a room with that shameless whore? The very air is tainted, and that little bastard she spawned, already putting on airs at such a young age, clearly inherited her homewrecker mother's genes. Who knows whose husband she'll ruin next? Qingyu, Xiaoxiao is just a child. How could you say such things to her? I know you've misunderstood my past relationship with Ian. But we're completely innocent. He only helps us because he pities Xiaoxiao for growing up without a father's care. Shenli maintained her usual victim act, glaring accusingly at Gu Qingyu while defending herself. Her words actually elicited sympathy from some bystanders. Cut the act. Shenli, if you're so innocent, why were you sobbing in my husband's arms? Where are your boundaries? Stop playing the delicate white lotus. Your daughter's fatherlessness isn't my fault, it's because her shameless mother slept around. Your ex-husband got a paternity test proving she's a bastard before divorcing you and kicking you both out. If I were you, I'd hide in shame. But no, penniless and desperate, you set your sights on someone else's husband, with such audacity and no morals. Don't expect me to be polite. I didn't even give Shenli the dignity of a private confrontation. I exposed her home-wrecking schemes publicly. Dragging this shameless mistress into the spotlight, how convenient. Coveting another woman's husband while still trying to maintain her pristine image. Well, I'm going to rip off Shenli's mask and expose her for what she really is. Let her live in the disgust and scorn of the world, forced to hide in the shadows like a common rat. A flicker of panic crossed Shenli's face. She clearly hadn't expected me to know her dirty little secrets. Oh my god, this is absolutely scandalous. The entertainment reporter scrambled to jot down every word, and I couldn't help but feel a surge of satisfaction. Zhou Ian's face darkened to the extreme. He didn't believe a word Gu Qingyu said. In his heart, his white moonlight was a pure and flawless woman who deserved the best in the world, even when she abandoned him years ago. It must have been out of desperation. Now that she's suffering so pitifully and being slandered by me, he must be utterly heartbroken. Gu Qingyu. Shut your mouth. If you dare slander Ollie again, don't blame me for what comes next. Zhou Ian snarled at me with unmistakable warning in his eyes. Just when everyone expected me to keep fighting, I chose silence. I knew Zhou Ian's limits all too well. Pushing further would make things messy. After all, the divorce papers weren't finalized yet, and the Zhou Empire still stood. Annoying him right up to the line was fine, but crossing it and getting myself in trouble, absolutely not. The Zhou family's security team arrived shortly after, clearing the scene and restoring quiet to the hospital room, where Shenli whimpered softly in wounded distress. Qingyu, you've misunderstood me completely. With an innocent look toward Zhou Ian, Shenli continued pleading. Ian, you have to believe me. That's not how it happened. I'd never do such a thing. Ollie, don't bother explaining to her. She's just blinded by jealousy. I stood aside silently cursing in my heart. You're the real blind fool here, totally deserving to be played like a puppet by a woman like Shenli. Zhou Ian held Shenli protectively while shooting me a venomous glare. Gu Qingyu, did you really think such cheap tricks would stop me from divorcing you? It only makes me despise you more. Time for my performance again. Honey, I don't know what came over me. Everything I said was just anger talking. The moment I imagined us leaving this hospital for the divorce registry office. I deliberately brought up the word divorce. Delaying such matters invites complications. Shenli would surely be eager to facilitate this and lend me a helping hand. Shenli didn't disappoint me. Her continued persuasion only made Zhou Ian more resolute in his stance. Ailey, don't worry. I'll make things right for you. Since Xiaoxiao is fine, I'll handle the urgent matter first before coming back to you. Shinli nodded affectionately. Ian, Xiaoxiao and I will be waiting for you. Zhou Ian stood up. Guqingyu, let's go. Nothing can change the fact that we're getting divorced. If you know what's good for you, don't try anything funny, or all the terms I promised you before will be off the table. Though the threat genuinely frightened me, I feigned indifference. Ian, you know I've never wanted anything from you. Money means nothing. I just want to be with you. Zhou Ian dragged me into the car. Zhou Ian even posted bodyguards around. Afraid I'd bolt to avoid the divorce, I sneered inwardly at his paranoia. 30 minutes later, at the Civil Affairs Bureau, the clerk asked, "Are you absolutely certain about this divorce? Have you agreed on asset division?" "We've reached full agreement and signed the paperwork." As Zhou Ian spoke, he suddenly remembered he'd rushed to the hospital without bringing the divorce papers and instructed his secretary to fetch them. Hearing this, I pulled the divorce agreement from my bag and said, "No need, I happened to bring it with me." Zhou Ian shot me a surprised look, suspicion creeping back onto his face. After all, when Shinli wasn't involved, the man still had some wits about him. Why did Zhou Ian feel Guqingyu was even more eager for divorce than him? Impossible. This woman must be playing some reverse psychology game. He wouldn't let her have her way. Watching Zhou Ian hesitate to sign, I scoffed. "What's the matter? Changed your mind about divorcing me? Do I suddenly seem preferable to your precious Shinli?" Nothing infuriated Zhou Ian more than such remarks, as if a man like him would ever care for a woman like me. Despite his suspicions, he signed without hesitation. When the clerk stamped the documents and I finally held the divorce certificate, an immense weight lifted from my shoulders, my entire body relaxed. But I wasn't reckless enough to celebrate yet. The assets stipulated in the agreement still needed transferring to my name. If Zhou decided to make trouble, I'd be powerless. Until then, I'd been terrified he'd renege on our terms. That hospital gambit had been risky. "Guqingyu, we're divorced now. I want you to stop harassing me. Take the assets I gave you and live your life quietly." I didn't argue, just obediently left as Zhou Ian demanded, before going. I overheard him instructing his staff to suppress the news. Today's hospital incident must never make headlines. A smirk curled on my lips as I sat in the taxi, making no move to interfere. The evidence was already planted anyway, ready to surface whenever needed. Exposing Shinli's true colors too soon would ruin the fun. Let Zhou Ian marry her first, let them tie the knot irrevocably. Then I'll gift them an unforgettable wedding present. The scandal I'll unleash will hit so hard. Zhou won't even realize his head's been crowned green. Right now, priority one is handling the urgent matter. The asset transfers need immediate attention. Early next morning, I called Zhou Ian's secretary. Zhou Ian's secretary still held sympathy for me as the ex-wife. Having witnessed all the pressure I endured over the years, he didn't give me any trouble when I called. With remarkable efficiency, he handled the property and shop transfers for me. Along with the 40 million compensation Zhou promised, combined with the 50 million installment payment, all 90 million was deposited into my account. With the properties and windfall secured, I timed my move perfectly and bought a particular stock 3 days later. In my past life, I'd stumbled upon an investing legend online. Some trader multiplied their money 20-fold within 2 months. Back then, I'd made a mental note of which stock it was. Never imagining I'd get this second chance at life. This must be heaven-sent fortune smiling upon me. Nobody ever complains about having too much money. With Zhou's compensation as my seed capital, I'm ready to play the market. I dumped 50 million into the stock market and spent the next 2 months obsessively monitoring the tickers, counting down the days to cash out. When the time came, my bank balance swelled by 1 billion. Finally, I could truly retire in luxury. Those 2 months of stock market frenzy left me visibly gaunt. Zhou Ian and Shinli made headlines again, splashed across the front page of the entertainment section. With me out of the picture, Shinli successfully bagged her meal ticket. Zhou Ian, transforming into a trophy wife of the elite class. Meanwhile, my ex-mother-in-law also called me, asking to meet up. There's no affection between us whatsoever. Zhou Ian's condescending attitude was inherited from this very woman. During my years in the Zhou family, aside from Ian's emotional neglect, his mother never missed an opportunity to belittle and harass me, but after some consideration, I decided to meet with her anyway. We arranged to meet at an upscale coffee house. My ex-mother-in-law remained as poised and elegant as ever, her face involuntarily twisting with disdain when she saw me in my sportswear. "No wonder Ian found you unworthy and divorced you. Just look at how utterly common you've become." Her contempt used to shatter me, but now hearing these words, knowing the humiliating future awaiting her, I felt nothing but sweet vindication. The wheel of fortune turns indeed. you summoned me just to say this. Remembering her purpose for coming today, Zhao Jinping suppressed her disdain. You're utterly useless. After all these years by Ian's side, you still couldn't keep his heart from being stolen by that shameless tramp Shenli, though she never liked her daughter-in-law Gu Qingyu. That scheming divorcee Shenli, a gold digger with a daughter from a previous marriage, was clearly after her son's money, making her even more detestable. Worse still, Shenli had the audacity to drive a wedge between her and her son. That was absolutely unforgivable. She came today to pit Gu Qingyu against Shenli. She could tell her son still harbored some feelings for Gu. Why else would he have left her such a substantial share of his assets, by the time she found out? It was too late to intervene. Qingyu, I still prefer you as my daughter-in-law. Go back to Ian's side, with me backing you up. You two are clearly the better match, so this was why she summoned me today. Listening to my ex-mother-in-law's condescending attempt to pit me against Shenli, I could only laugh bitterly. Mrs. Zhao, you're mistaken. I was blind to ever want such a man. Trash belongs with trash. Since you always found me dull-witted, Shenli's the perfect daughter-in-law for you. A viper like her will keep a tyrant like you in check. You're truly meant to be family. I used to obey her every whim, swallowing my pride without complaint. So accustomed to flaunting superiority, she never expected such defiance. Her face flushed crimson as she clutched her chest in outrage. Mrs. Zhao, after all we've been through as mother and daughter-in-law, I'm leaving you a little parting gift. I'm sure you'll appreciate it. Gu Qingyu. Don't think you can walk away smugly after swindling my son out of his fortune. A twice-divorced woman like you will never find anyone better than Qingyu. Mark my words, you'll regret throwing away this opportunity. Watching Zhao Jinping's furious tantrum, I didn't bother arguing. Time would tell the truth. I simply placed the USB drive on the table and walked away with my head held high. Indifferent to the storm it would unleash on their family, I mailed an identical copy to the tabloids. Even if the Zhou family's bankruptcy would eventually ruin Shenli, I wasn't about to let her enjoy even a few more months of comfort. This USB drive contains all the dirt on Shenli. After last night's events, I immediately booked a flight out of S-City. With enough money to last me a lifetime, I can now travel the world freely and avoid the Zhou family's retaliation while abroad. I kept tabs on domestic news. The tabloids reported Zhou Ian and Shenli's public brawl at a social event, followed by rumors of reconciliation after marital troubles. Madame Zhao Jinping was also quoted criticizing her daughter-in-law. Seems Shenli's really having a rough time. I returned just before the Zhou family's bankruptcy, strutting in my sky-high heels. I had a whole squad of 6-foot-tall hunks carrying my bags and suitcases behind me, constantly offering me water and feeding me fruits. They pampered me like royalty. Money really is magical. With enough cash, you can have any type of gorgeous man, each one attentive, sweet, and catering to your every need. Gu Qingyu, I never thought you'd sink this low. Can't you survive without me? Is this how you degrade yourself? A voice full of anguish suddenly exploded in my ear, startling me. I just came back to enjoy the drama, never expected to run into Zhou Ian at the airport. Zhou Ian looked utterly exhausted, as if he'd aged years overnight. The handsome guy beside me immediately patted my back soothingly. Darling, you must be terrified. Who's this rude, uncultured person shouting like that? Did they scare you? Zhou Ian's face darkened further at the sight. He strode over and punched the handsome guy who was comforting me. The gorgeous guy treats me with tenderness, but shows no such patience with Zhou Ian. When punched, he instantly retaliates. Zhou Ian's lip splits from the blow, glaring at me with pure venom. I meet Zhou Ian's gaze with deliberate calm. What's with that look? Zhou Ian, do I seem like I'm barely surviving? Dumping a scumbag like you opened my eyes. Life's become deliciously vibrant. With your breakup money, I've traveled across stunning landscapes and charmed countless handsome men. Now that's living. Fine, just fine. Zhou Ian's voice drips ice. Gu Qingyu, remember, the luxury I gave you, I can take away. You'll regret this. His frigid glare lingers before he turns, his demeanor now laced with a brutality absent in the past. I scoff, entirely unfazed. Zhou Ian is nothing but a paper tiger now, toothless and soon to come crashing down from his high horse into the mud. Besides, compared to a certain someone, Zhou Ian's presence barely registers. The mere thought of that person sends shivers down my spine. He once swore he'd break my legs and chain me to his side if I ever tried to escape. Thankfully, that monster doesn't know who I really am. In this vast world, he'll never find me. Emerging from the airport with a squad of handsome men, I found luxury cars already waiting. The moment I slid into the seat, powerful arms pulled me into an embrace. Had enough fun, ching ching. No takebacks on that marriage promise, the man murmured, his voice dripping with dangerous tenderness. That voice sent chills down my spine. Escape was no longer an option. This toxic entanglement began in America when I drunkenly brought home Chinchua, a male model I'd spotted at a bar. What began as a casual night took an unexpected turn. The male model wasn't who he seemed. When I tried dismissing him with a check the next morning, Chinshua's face darkened. He shoved a check 10 times the amount back at me, then pinned me down, teaching me a lesson I'd never forget. I later discovered Chinchua was no ordinary man, even in the States. He commanded considerable influence. A man this dangerous was beyond my league. Escaping proved difficult, but I finally slipped away from his domain. Freedom meant flirting with handsome men again, no longer under that tyrant's thumb. Yet the very day I returned home, Chinchua caught me. Chinchua, you know I was drunk that night. It didn't count. Besides, I'm just a divorced woman with passable looks but no substance. Really quite ordinary. Please be magnanimous and let this go. Ridiculous. Putting aside how dangerously unpredictable Chinchua is, I still can't figure him out. I barely crawled out of the marriage pit. There's no way I'm jumping into another one. Does Chinching intend to break our agreement? His smile grew gentler, yet every instinct screamed danger. Memories of his ruthless methods in America flashing through my mind. That's not it at all. I'd never renege. I just need more time. A wise man submits to circumstances. I've reached my limit in despair. What a curse. How did I ever cross paths with this demon? How can I possibly break free? Chinchua gazed at this naive woman. Once he'd set his sights on her, she could never escape him in this lifetime. On a certain year, month, and day, a wedding of the century took place in the capital city. By then, the Zhou family had gone bankrupt. Shenli immediately divorced Zhou Ian afterward, attempting to abscond with the last remnants of their wealth. But Zhou saw through her scheme and orchestrated her sale to a repulsive old man in some backwater village. Zhou Ian passed out from hunger once again, drifting into a hazy dream of an entirely different life. Waking up, he saw the woman's radiant smile on the giant screen above and wept bitter tears of regret. Several police officers approached from nearby. Mr. Zhou, you're suspected of human trafficking. Please come with us for questioning. Story 2. Qin Yanyan lost the radioactive materials but deliberately kept it under wraps. Soon after, 3 senior researchers in the same lab were diagnosed with leukemia. Sensing something amiss, I requested an inspection of all radioactive materials, but my childhood friend and younger brother intercepted the application. There are barely any researchers left in the lab. If you kick up a fuss now, aren't you basically pointing fingers at Yanyan? Later, I started getting nosebleeds. News of the lab's missing materials spread across campus, and I became the scapegoat. My advisor faced disciplinary action, and the seniors battling cancer despised me to the core. I tried to prove my innocence, but my childhood friend and younger brother framed me with fabricated evidence, cementing my guilt. Only if you take the blame will Yanyan be spared suspicion. In the end, they pushed me off the lab rooftop, and I was reduced to a bloody pulp. Meanwhile, Qin Yanyan graduated with a spotless record, joined the research institute, and became an inspirational role model. When I opened my eyes again, I'd returned to the day Qin Yanyan was searching for materials in the lab. 1. Choo-choo, what's this suit for? It looks so unusual. Can I try it on? Maybe you could give it to me. It's my first time in the lab, and I'd love to keep something as a memento. Even a pig knows you can't just walk out with lab equipment, as if Qin Yanyan didn't know that. As she asked, she'd already slipped into the radiation suit, grinning playfully. Seeing her innocent expression, her childhood friend Gung Yen gave a magnanimous smile. Sure, it's just a piece of clothing. The school has already granted Xingqiu the rights to this lab. If there's anything else you like, feel free to take it. Her brother Xingjian shamelessly chimed in. Exactly, my sister wouldn't be so selfish as to refuse such a small favor. Hearing this, I nearly let out a cold laugh. So refusing to help her steal makes me selfish. Is that it? These two really know how to use my flowers to charm Qin Yanyan old hands at this game. No, all lab equipment must remain in the laboratory. My refusal was absolute, and Gung Yan shot me an impatient look. You're utterly heartless and ridiculously rigid. I let out a cold laugh, raising my voice. Calling me heartless for stopping her from stealing. Let me make this clear. Under my watch, nobody takes anything out of this lab. All eyes turned to Qin Yanyan as scattered murmurs arose, condemning her attempt to smuggle items out. Qin Yanyan bit her lip, looking as if she'd suffered an unbearable humiliation. Senpai, I'm no match for Choo-choo in any way. It's only natural she looks down on me. I shouldn't have come with you all, just making myself unwelcome and getting insulted for no reason. She hung her head and sobbed quietly. The two comforted her while still shooting accusatory glances my way. How could you bully someone as gentle as Yanyan? Are you jealous of her? Stop slandering her and apologize now. In my past life, I wasn't this blunt. I rejected them but still saved face for both sides. But the thought of her being the reason I died with unfinished business makes my blood boil. Looking back, I should have called her out in my past life, wouldn't have taken my dying breath to realize those two had deep feelings for Qin Yanyan. I envied her, envied how she could laze around illiterate. Someone like her never belonged here. You brought her in, any consequences are on your heads, lab cameras are glitching, no worries. I'll record everything, as I pulled out my phone. Qin Yanyan quickly lowered her head to hide the panic in her eyes, then burst into tears and ran off. Xing Jianan and Gung Yan shot me a glare before chasing after her. I told the others to focus on the experiment while I thoroughly inventoried the radioactive materials. My heart sank when I saw only a tiny fraction of the uranium that should have been there remained. Seems I've reincarnated at a point that's already too late. Qin Yanyan has already lost the item, too, in my past life. Qin Yanyan deliberately swapped uranium samples in the lab, causing 3 senior researchers to develop leukemia while slowly poisoning my own health. When I later realized something was wrong and tried to request a radioactive materials audit from the university, including lab inspections and personnel screenings, those bastards Gung Yan and Xing Jianan stopped me and locked me in my apartment. The scandal broke when the school launched its own investigation, discovering someone had deliberately placed uranium in a sealed document folder. As investigators were about to trace it back to Qin Yanyan, Gung Yan and Xing Jianan panicked. The two conspired to pin the whole thing on me. Yanyan just wanted to satisfy her curiosity by looking around. We never expected Xing Chu would actually agree. If she could agree to Yanyan's request, she could have agreed to anyone else's too. How can you pin this on Yanyan, at the very least, as the person in charge? Xing Chu should bear primary responsibility no matter what happens, shouldn't they? Just like that, I became the scapegoat for everyone's deaths. I endured relentless bullying day and night, while my family life turned into complete chaos because of me. This time, I won't let history repeat itself. There are just too many files. It's impossible to locate where Qin Yanyan put them right away, but we still need to make necessary preparations before finding it. I clapped my hands to get everyone's attention. Perfect timing, since everyone's here today. I've got an announcement to make. Even though our regular lab materials and radioactive substances are stored separately, for everyone's safety, let's make it a rule to wear protective gear during all experiments from now on. Also, given the varying skill levels and different experiment scales in our team, I'll split us into 2 groups. Xing Jianan and Gung Yan will lead Lin Xian, while the rest will join me in the main group. The moment the words left his mouth, everyone except Lin Xian visibly relaxed, murmuring among themselves as they dispersed. I've long wanted out of Gung Yan's group. Sure, he's book-smart, but utterly useless in the lab, yet acts like he's God's gift to science. That Xing Jianan, zero work ethic compared to his sister, just scrolls through his phone in the lab, freeloading off everyone's effort. Now they dragged Qin Yanyan in. That two-faced gold digger makes my skin crawl. Piggybacking on our research for papers was bad enough. Now they bring a parasite. That evening, I messaged the group telling everyone to stay out of the lab for now. Graduation is just around the corner, and while everyone's buried in their theses, I've been swamped with work too. Recently published several papers, one even won an award, which secured sponsorship for the university. I turned down the prize money and negotiated for a new lab instead. The old one will finally get maintenance too. Director, could we schedule the lab repairs after hours? Our experiments run all day. Also, please keep quiet about me being the reason for the new lab. With just a year left before graduation, I'd rather avoid unnecessary attention. The boss gave the green light. Before the next day's experiment, I had everyone gather at the entrance of the new lab. Gung Yan and Xing Jianan stormed over to confront me. Xing Chu, why did you split us into 2 groups? And what's your justification for keeping Yanyan out of the lab this time? I gave them a cold glance. Since you two operate on a completely different level from the rest, and Lin Xian still a rookie, you'll be grouped together. As for Qin Yanyan, do we really need another parasite in the lab besides you two? They glared at me. What's gotten into you? You've been so snappy lately. What exactly did Yanyan do to offend you? Is there any need to single her out like this? I said coldly. This isn't about singling anyone out. She shouldn't have been allowed in there to begin with. Starting today, the 2 groups will conduct experiments separately to prevent any intellectual property theft. With that, I prepared to lead the remaining team members into the lab. The 2 exchanged glances, while Qin Yanyan, who had been wearing a pout, suddenly looked up and shot them a meaningful look. Gung Yan caught up and grabbed my arm forcefully. You think we actually want to work with you? Flaunting that new lab like it's some achievement. Newsflash, you didn't earn it. Xing Jianan was growing visibly anxious. The professor put you in charge, but wasn't Gung Yan also assigned by him? Are you deliberately excluding us with the others? Watch out, I'll report this to the professor and get you disqualified. I gave them both a long, hard look. If you don't appreciate the new lab, stay in the old one. Let's see if you two can avoid becoming laughingstocks at the pre-final symposium. The two men gritted their teeth. Stop looking down on people, you arrogant prick. With that, they led Qin Yanyan into the old lab, swiftly drawing the curtains while declaring, don't even think about spying on our research. 3. After the experiment concluded, Gung Yan was waiting for me at the door. Since you've left the lab, shouldn't you take this junk of yours with you? What a disgusting eyesore. He pointed at several documents on the table by the old lab entrance. Qin Yanyan smoothed her slightly disheveled hair. Senior Gung Yan, even though we're in separate labs now, Xing Chu definitely didn't mean to target us. Don't be so harsh on her. These documents seem important to you. You'd better take them quickly. Documents. My heart skipped a beat when I heard that. Could the uranium files be hidden in here? After scrutinizing for a while, I finally noticed one file folder sealed completely differently from the others. In that split second, it hit me. The missing radioactive material was inside this. I shouted at the remaining team members outside to come help move the documents and equipment. I can handle the documents alone. The new lab still needs several instruments. Let's move these over there. As a few team members moved to take the equipment, Gung Yan and Xing Jianan immediately noticed and rushed to stop them. Seizing the moment when Qin Yanyan was distracted by the commotion, I pretended to fumble, letting the file folder slip to the ground. I swiftly kicked the folder into the shadow of the table, then walked off casually with the remaining files. In our past life, she successfully used these tricks to harm us. This time around, let her reap what she sows. After delivering the documents, I stormed over and gave Gung Yan an earful. Then had the team confiscate their equipment. The two looked defiant, but we had strength in numbers. Didn't they do the exact same thing in my past life? The two of them teamed up to knock me out and tied me up in that hotel room to keep me from leaving. Besides, these three in the lab don't even need this equipment in the first place. In the end, Xing Jianan cursed at me through gritted teeth. Just you wait, when we get back tomorrow, I'll make sure Mom and Dad know exactly how vicious you are. They'll beat you to death. 4. The next day was the weekend. When I got home, instead of being furious, my parents were actually heartbroken and kept urging me to eat more. To everyone's surprise, Xing Jianan, who'd been avoiding home for half a month, showed up too. Without greeting anyone, he stormed straight into his room with a dark expression. Xing Jianan had been nothing but trouble since childhood. Even in his first year of high school, his grades still ranked dead last. If I hadn't forced him to study with me throughout junior and senior year, he'd probably only qualify for vocational college now. He became even more unruly in college. Had it not been for his outstanding Gaokao scores, the professor would never have granted him special lab access privileges. His parents had already accumulated enough disappointment in him to simply pretend he wasn't there. As usual, I chatted with my parents after dinner before retreating to my room for an afternoon nap. After about half an hour, when the noise outside subsided, someone pushed open my bedroom door. Someone tiptoed into my room and started rummaging through my things. After they left, I opened my eyes and checked my computer. Sure enough, there was the record of the email I'd just sent. I don't get it. After all the times I've taught Xing Jianan since childhood, how can he still be such a blockhead? About 2 weeks later, the Academic Society began collecting research papers. A research paper authored by Qin Yanyan was featured on the university website's homepage. Numerous professors and students have given it exceptionally high praise. Who is this Qin Cici? She's been flying under the radar. But this paper could rival Xing Chu's work. This actually surpasses Xing Chu's papers. Some of their work clearly lacks this level of refinement. Normally I'd revise a paper 3 times at most, but this one went through over a dozen drafts, just as I suspected. Xing Jianan handed my paper to Qin Yanyan. That single paper turned Qin Yanyan into the campus celebrity overnight. The paper even got published on the National Chemistry Portal. Hailed as a rising star in the field, Qin Yanyan has been riding high these days, with Gung Yan and Xing Jianan wagging their tails like eager little lapdogs. Running into you this early in the morning, what rotten luck. Gung Yan's beaming face twisted into disgust the moment he spotted me approaching. A flicker of panic flashed through Xing Jianan's eyes before his expression settled into smug satisfaction. Qin Yanyan maintained her gentle tone, but the smile at her lips carried a hint of smug triumph. Xing Chu, why haven't I seen you around these days? Gung Yan snorted coldly. Seen her? She's been completely overshadowed by you. Yan, too ashamed to show her face now. Never thought you'd see this day, did you, Xing Chu? How does it feel to have someone stepping on your head? I sneered. You all know exactly how this paper came to be, don't you? Stealing my work and flaunting it like this. Qin Yanyan put on an innocent face. What do you mean by that? I know I'm not as talented as you, but you can't just dismiss other people's hard work. She suddenly burst into tears, completely out of the blue and utterly baffling. The commotion drew the attention of passers-by. For a brief moment, she became the center of attention, and people stopped to watch. As if overcome by dramatic impulse, she raised her voice with a sob. Is it a crime not to be a genius? Don't we ordinary people have the right to fight for our dreams? You've targeted and isolated me before, but how could you accuse me of stealing your thesis? 5. Perhaps these words struck a chord with many, as passers-by glared at me with undisguised hostility. Xingqiu may be brilliant, but that doesn't give her the right to treat others like this, just because she's a genius. Does that mean the rest of us don't deserve to learn? She just can't stand seeing others succeed, terrified they'll outwork her and threaten her precious status. Oh, she's a genius all right, but geniuses are always lonely. Let her rot in solitude. No matter how talented she is, she'll never have real friends. Gun Yen smirked, looking smugly at me. You probably don't know this yet, but she's no genius. All her past papers were ghost-written. Her personal life is a complete mess. She only got all those resources by seducing professors. Everyone was shocked by the revelation. Oh my god, is this actually true? If even Gun Yen, who's so close to her, says this, and her own brother didn't deny it, how could it be fake? This is absolutely disgusting. People like this should be locked up and executed. Qin Yanyan sighed and ran over to grab my hand. Xingqiu, if you just stop bullying me, I'd still really like to be good friends with you, and you shouldn't look down on others either. You call them idiots, but you're not exactly a genius yourself. The crowd erupted in fury, hurling curses at me, with some nearly lunging forward to throw punches. 3 figures stood before me, looking down their noses with smug superiority. A tidal wave of unprecedented slander and defamation crashed over me as I stood trapped in the jostling crowd, struggling to breathe. Gun Yen strode toward me with a victor's swagger, tilting his chin up before leaning in to whisper in my ear, if you apologize to Yan Yan today, we'll help clear your name. Deal. Xing Jianan finally spoke up. Damn right. You should kowtow to her. You're the one who wronged her. Xing Jianan's voice rose sharply as he continued. How can you be so vicious to a girl? Aren't you afraid karma will give you cancer? The next instant, both Gun Yan's eyes rolled back as 4 streaks of nose blood came gushing down. I couldn't help but laugh. Oh, seems like I'm not the one who got cancer. 6. Seizing the moment while they were still dazed, I took out my phone, logged into my email, and pulled up the records of Xing Jianan previously sending the paper. The records date back 16 days, while Qin Yanyan's paper was published just 3 days ago. This paper was originally written by me. My computer still has all the research materials and revision history. I'll release everything for verification once I get back. Qin Yanyan barely scraped by to get into this university. In 2 years, she failed 3 courses and scored a pitiful 12 on her last exam. Yet suddenly she produces a thesis that earns widespread praise. If anyone's the genius here, it's her. I've dug up all the evidence, yet these people still shamelessly refuse to admit it. Xingqiu, I know you dislike me, but fabricating evidence, that doesn't seem like something you'd stoop to. This is clearly what happened when we shared Yanyan's paper for your reference. You went overboard adding your own unnecessary comments and sent it back. How can you be so shameless? All you do is smear others' reputations. Having a sister like you is downright humiliating. The 3 of them didn't even bat an eye, while passers-by crowded around to read the thesis on my phone. Admittedly, they didn't plagiarize everything, they did omit some parts. If you insist on putting it that way, I suppose it makes some sense. Suspicion flickered in everyone's eyes as they glanced between me and them, utterly baffled by the situation. Thinking they'd regained the upper hand, the trio began smirking with renewed smugness. With a cold snort, Gun Yan finally sneered, why bring up the thesis? Trying to cover up your shameless behavior. Too spineless to own up to what you've done. I slapped him across the face. You two are shameless, twisting facts and treating everyone like fools. You slander women's reputations at the drop of a hat. I've never met anyone more despicable. Have you forgotten how in middle school, when you were forced to kowtow and lick shoes? It was me who carried your pathetic ass to the hospital. Xing Jianan turned pale with rage at these words, raising his hand in fury, only for me to kick him flat on his back. And you, with your mind full of filthy thoughts, probably don't even remember when you almost died from high fever at age 10. I took care of you for 3 straight days without sleep. Malicious slander carries a 15-day jail sentence. Just wait, the police will uncover the truth when they arrive. They enjoy spreading rumors, but I certainly don't. Everything I've said actually happened. These are wounds that will never heal in their hearts. They hate me so much. Why would they ever admit I helped them, especially in front of Qin Yan, who'd want their goddess to see how pathetic they used to be? Sure enough, those two lunged at me like rabid animals. You fucking bitch, I'll kill you. The moment I pulled out my phone, they suddenly calmed down. By the way, Yan needs to prepare her acceptance speech. I won't keep you any longer. Yan, let's get you home. I can't stand the sight of this bitch. As they turned, both stumbled and swayed, clearly on the verge of passing out. I smirked at them, throwing their own words back in their faces. What's wrong with you guys? Maybe you should get checked at the hospital. If it's cancer, catching it early might still be treatable. All three whirled around. Gung Yan clenching his jaw with veins bulging at his temples. Quit your damn jinxing. You're downright vicious. I swear I won't die that easily. Even if I do, I'll haunt you from the grave. Watching their retreating figures, I still can't comprehend why they despise me so much. The trio hurried away as bystanders gradually dispersed, obviously spreading lies. Didn't you see how terrified they were? Scampered off like frightened rabbits. I'm not so sure about that. You know what they say, the more innocent a woman appears, the wilder she is in private. She definitely gives off that secretly provocative vibe. Xingqiu isn't like that at all. We're in the same group. Last time Qin Yan tried to take lab equipment, and Xingqiu refused. They're just holding a grudge and framing her. Those three, Qin Yan and the others, are downright despicable. 7. After getting back, I realized these three had sunk to depths that completely shattered my moral compass. I don't understand why Xingqiu is targeting me like this. I burned the midnight oil writing that thesis, nearly ruined my eyesight running experiments. She can insult me all she wants, but she can't deny my hard work. Those two simps wouldn't miss a chance to fawn over their goddess. They each posted lengthy declarations of support for Qin Yan. One accused me of having loose morals and 5 abortions. One even used my younger brother's name to spread rumors that I beat my parents at home and bullied classmates outside. The whole thing blew up. Lies became accepted as truth. I was originally one of the award recipients at this ceremony. We'll still give you the prize money, Xingqiu, but perhaps you shouldn't attend the award ceremony. The school is concerned about reputation too, but the teacher truly believes in your character. I sighed helplessly. At least let me do something to feel involved. How about having me run the PowerPoint, teacher? The teacher wouldn't possibly refuse such a trivial request. At the awards ceremony, after everyone else received their prizes, Qin Yan took the stage as the grand finale. With an affected smile and what she imagined to be a dignified demeanor, she took nearly 5 minutes to strut down the 20-meter red carpet, each step oozing artificiality. After the leader commended her, she was presented with a trophy and awards. Standing there, she blinked and, as if by magic, 2 tears rolled down her cheeks. Today, I stand here grateful to our school administrators and teachers. Your patient guidance has shaped who I am today, but the person I'm most grateful to is Senior Xingqiu. Without her constant criticism, her indifference and disdain, I'd never have found this determination and drive. I'm at a loss for words right now, so I'll just wish everyone the best. Let your actions prove that the gap between ordinary people and geniuses can absolutely be bridged through sheer hard work. As her words landed, thunderous applause erupted. Admittedly, her speech was truly inspiring, uplifting, persevering, perfectly embodying that model student image from her past life. It would be better if I weren't the victim. Xingqiu is truly despicable and hypocritical. Turns out all those online rumors were true. How could she possibly bully such a kind and hardworking girl? I hope she gets hit by a car tomorrow. And that's not all. They say she's promiscuous and even had a child out of wedlock. The classmates were freely discussing the matter when one particularly loud voice cut through. Someone like Xingqiu deserves to be expelled. It was Gung Yan's voice, soon joined by Xingjianan, then 3, 4. Countless voices rose in unison demanding my expulsion. The executives looked grim. Seeing the perfect moment, I hit the keyboard. 3 crystal-clear faces appeared on the awards ceremony's backdrop projection, going at it like sandwich cookies in the middle of the lab. Qin Yan's voice was laced with breathless, blush-inducing gasps. Brother Gung Yan, isn't this inappropriate? We're in a laboratory. After deep, pleasure-laden breaths from the man, Gung Yan wore an expression of utter satisfaction. Only in the lab can we experience this incomparable ecstasy. Xingjianan gasped. Yan, don't you think this experience is way better than before? Qin Yan playfully swatted at their chests with a coquettish pout. You promised, remember, after this, you'll help me steal Xingqiu's thesis. Both of them kept their eyes closed. Don't worry, I know her computer password. I'll definitely get it for you. I'm gonna savor this moment. That bitch acts all high and mighty just because her grades are slightly better. Can't wait to see her humiliated. I despise Xingqiu the most. Who does she think she is? Just 1 year older and she believes she can boss me around. I wish she were dead. The room fell dead silent. Then came the piercing, ear-splitting shriek. Ag, this video is disgusting. Oh god, my eyes. Qin Yanyan is truly something else, orchestrating academic theft and still having the audacity to accept awards. No wonder she's into orgies. That woman's got no shame. And she's the one spreading lewd rumors. The real slut here is herself. God knows how many men she's slept with. Just looking at her makes me feel contaminated. Do these three even have a shred of humanity left? They deserve to be shot for 5 minutes straight. Get these animals out of our school. Expel them now. 8. Qin Yanyan stared in stunned silence, her face flushed crimson with utter bewilderment, beaten black and blue by the crowd. Gung and Yan somehow dragged themselves onto the stage. No. None of this is true. The video was doctored. This never happened. Qin Yanyan snapped back to reality, sobbing uncontrollably. Who on earth wants to frame me? Just because I won an award? Is this really necessary? I'm innocent. By this point, I had already stepped onto the podium. These videos are all surveillance footage from the old lab. That place is remote and rarely visited, plus the cameras were newly installed. They had no idea. I honestly didn't know either. I only discovered these files while searching for my own documents. To clear my name, I resorted to this extreme measure, and I'm prepared to face any consequences. I never imagined such despicable people and incidents could exist on our campus. The video is completely authentic with no signs of tampering. I posted it on the school forum for everyone to verify. As the words hung in the air, the crowd's emotions reached a fever pitch. The school immediately stated they would conduct a thorough investigation, vowing never to tolerate such immoral behavior on campus, yet the curses kept coming. After all, they'd fooled many people with their earlier rumors. A crowd rushed the stage, hurling insults and punches. The few security guards couldn't break it up, leaving it to the arriving police. 9. The school's investigation results came out quickly. The video was authentic, and the school expelled all 3 individuals involved. I was also summoned to the teacher's office for a talk. You went too far, and you shouldn't have played those videos in front of the entire school. Having taught you for 3 years, I know exactly who you are. You're no so-called genius. Everything you've achieved comes solely from your own hard work and dedication. But considering you're the victim in this incident and didn't spread false rumors, we'll let you off with a warning this time. Don't let it happen again. I nodded earnestly and thanked the teachers and administrators. That day, Gung Yan and Qin Yanyan happened to run into me when they came through the school gates to collect their belongings. After just a few days apart, they looked like they'd lost 20 pounds, their 4 dark-circled eyes glaring at me with icy hostility. Xingqiu, don't get cocky. Your high and mighty days are numbered. Even if we get expelled, we'll be waiting at the school gates the moment you step outside. We'll make you wish you were never born. Tough talk came quick, but their feeble delivery made it impossible to take seriously. I can't die even if I wanted to, but you'll get to experience death soon enough. The 2 men froze for half a second. What do you mean by that? I leaned closer with a sinister grin. Haven't you noticed lately that you're constantly having nosebleeds, feeling completely drained, and coughing non-stop? These are classic symptoms of radiation-induced cancer. I did the math. You've already passed the critical treatment window since yesterday. Gung Yan looked utterly bewildered. You actually think your curses can kill me? Qin Yanyan's eyes widened in shock, her face a mask of disbelief. Before anyone could react, she bolted from the school gates like a madwoman. Gung Yan was utterly baffled. I explained helpfully. Don't you know, your beloved goddess stole uranium from the lab. Just that tiny amount left in the lab is enough to give you radiation sickness. His face showed disbelief, but a flicker of terror flashed through his eyes. Soon after, he stormed off cursing under his breath. 10. Xing Jianan, coughing up blood for the 10th time, was rushed to the hospital by his parents, when they learned radiation had given him cancer. My parents reacted with far more composure than I'd expected. Son, had we known about your condition earlier, we wouldn't have laid a hand on you these past days. The doctors may say it's hopeless, but we'll never abandon you. We'll spend every penny to get you treated. Xing Jianan lay cursing on the hospital bed, too weak to even pound the sheets. Why does Xingqiu get all your attention? Why, am I not your child too? This favoritism is unbearable. Mom and Dad sighed. When have we ever favored your sister over you? It's because you've been disobedient since childhood, stealing money for internet cafes, skipping classes, picking fights. We just want to set you on the right path and secure your future. Is that really favoritism? They'd said this countless times before, but it never got through to him. He clenched his teeth and shut his eyes tight. He refused to eat or drink, and eventually passed away in his hospital bed that day. My parents wept bitterly in their grief. I held them close and comforted them, saying, "Mom, Dad, you still have me." 11. Gung Yan went to the hospital for tests too. Overwhelmed by despair, he lashed out at Qin Yanyan with punches and kicks. Qin Yanyan lost 2 front teeth and suffered multiple fractures, further deteriorating her already fragile health. That day, Gung Yan showed up at the school gate and knelt at my feet just like years ago. He sobbed uncontrollably as the crowd gathered around him. "Choo-choo, my parents abandoned me. Please save me. That bitch Qin Yanyan would rather get us all killed than stop trying to destroy you. I don't want to die. I really don't. Just treat me like a stray dog. Show some mercy and let me go to the hospital." I let out a scornful laugh. "Save you? Then who's going to save me? You think I'd fall for the farmer and viper trick twice? This is the ending you deserve, killed by your precious goddess." Fitting finale for a professional simp. He clung to my leg in desperation, only for me to kick him away. Just days later, I heard Gung Yan had died on the streets. His family refused to claim the body for ages. In the end, the police had to collect it. 12. Qin Yanyan's condition was less severe since she'd worn protective gear longer than the others. Even in her dying moments, she reached out to help me one last time. She reported to the school, accusing me of secretly taking uranium and storing it in the lab to harm them. After thorough inspections, the staff eventually found the uranium hidden under the table leg. If it wasn't hers, how did it end up in her file folder? I'm sorry, but I'd already saved all the surveillance footage from the lab beforehand. The footage clearly shows her placing the uranium into my bag with her own hands. I also presented previously recorded video where she was seen fleeing the lab entrance in a hazmat suit. If she wasn't planning to steal the uranium, why would she be wearing protective gear for no reason? This whole incident was orchestrated by her. She's simply reaping what she sowed. The school administrators berated her and kicked her out. She stood at the school gate, screaming at me hysterically, "Xingqiu, there's no way I'm inferior to you. We're both women. How can you be so much better than me? It's just because you were born with a good brain." I refuse to accept this. I'll never accept it. I'll haunt you as a vengeful spirit if I must, but I swear I'll tear you apart. She lunged forward, restrained by security guards, limbs flailing like a rabid beast. How could Qin Yanyan not know me? Yet now she'd been cast out by her family, left without a penny to her name. She begged at the school gate, not getting a single penny, only to endure endless curses and humiliation from passing students. Late into that night, snow fell thick and fast. Amid the vast white expanse of the street, a dark figure suddenly collapsed. When she died, the students nearly set off firecrackers in celebration. People like this are nothing but a menace to society. Good riddance saves me the disgust. 13. By senior year, everyone had moved on from the incident. I was granted direct admission to work at the National Research Center. These memories often cross my mind, but I've never regretted a thing. I swore I'd make them taste every ounce of this suffering. E&D. Next story. After rebirth, I only have 3 thoughts. First, be kinder to my stepmother and stepbrother. Second, study hard. Third, stay away from Qingzhou. I did the first 2 things very well, but the third one didn't go as I wished, because Qingzhou was also reborn. 1. The moment I saw Qingzhou enter the classroom, I knew I had been reborn. The 18-year-old Qingzhou still carried the naivety of youth, slightly different from the man who would use me and discard me a decade later, leading to my family's ruin. The homeroom teacher smiled as she introduced the new student to the class. "Qingzhou has just transferred to our class. Everyone, please get along well with him." These words were exactly the same as in my previous life. I knew that next, the homeroom teacher would assign Qingzhou to sit beside me, because the student next to me had just transferred out, leaving only the seat next to me vacant in the entire class. Just like in my previous life, after becoming desk mates with Qingzhou, he treated me exceptionally well. We quickly got to know each other well, and after learning about his tragic background, I felt even more sympathy for him, always wanting to help him more. Putting aside the despicable things he did later, Qingzhou was exceptionally handsome and capable. So my initial sympathy gradually turned into affection. After the college entrance exams, I took the initiative to confess my feelings to Qingzhou, and we naturally got together afterward. It wasn't until 10 years later when my family went bankrupt that Qingzhou discarded me like trash and got engaged to someone else. I only found out on his engagement day that he had been using me to gain my father's trust, ultimately causing my family's bankruptcy and seizing our company, all part of his long-planned scheme. He wanted to prove himself to the Qing family patriarch and secure his standing in the Qing household. My 10 years of genuine affection and the accumulated wealth of my Jiang family over generations became nothing but stepping stones for Qingzhou. In the end, my father jumped to his death, and I died in a car accident on my way to the hospital to see him one last time. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the very beginning. Classmate Qingzhou, please take a seat next to Jiang Yan for now. Watching Qingzhou approach me, I abruptly stood up as if startled. Qingzhou, who was just about to sit down, froze in place, frowning as he looked up at me with confusion in his eyes. The homeroom teacher asked me, "What's wrong?" I took a step back, putting some distance between Qingzhou and myself. "I don't want to sit with him, I want to change seats." Hearing this, Qingzhou's pupils trembled violently as he looked at me. The homeroom teacher also frowned disapprovingly, while classmates nearby whispered, "What's wrong with Jiang Yan today? She's usually so nice." "Jiang Yan, let Qingzhou sit next to you for now. We'll rearrange seats after the monthly exam." I ignored the homeroom teacher's words, scanning my gaze around the classroom. Everyone was staring at me as if watching a show. Only he, sitting at the back, kept his head down doing his own thing, as if everything around him had nothing to do with him. I didn't want to disturb him either, but it seemed there was no other choice now. "Teacher, I want to sit next to Jiang Yuji." As soon as the words were spoken, Jiang Yuji, who had been indifferent all along, finally looked up, his gaze sweeping past my face. "I want to study hard, so I'd like to be Jiang Yuji's deskmate and have him tutor me." Worried that this reason wasn't enough, I added, "My dad has agreed to this, and Jiang Yuji knows about it too. We just haven't had the chance to tell you yet. My dad donates to the school every year. Even if the teacher doesn't value me, they'd still give my dad some face." She looked questioningly at Jiang Yuji, seeking confirmation from him. I also turned my gaze in that direction. Jiang Yuji initially met my eyes blankly for a few seconds. I just blinked at him weakly, and he nodded with an after changing seats. Jiang Yuji had been acting quite cold toward me, even giving off an air of avoidance. I can actually understand it. After all, ever since his mother became my stepmother, I've always rejected both of them and naturally never gave them a friendly look. But in my previous life, when my family fell into trouble, it was Jiang Yuji and his mother who struggled to hold up our crumbling household. So in this second chance at life, I've decided to treat my stepmother and stepbrother better. "Stop looking," Jiang Yuji whispered, his face turning red. I suddenly realized I'd been staring at him for a long time. He seemed to make a great decision before turning to look at me, asking seriously, "Why do you suddenly want to sit with me? Weren't you?" He didn't say the words, "You hate me the most," but I could guess them. I smiled and casually opened the book in front of me. "Like I said, I want to study hard, that's true. In my past life, I was like a useless waste when trouble came. Not only did I fail to help my family, but I became their burden instead. So in this second chance at life, I must study hard. When faced with similar situations in the future, I want to be their support." "What about you?" I asked him. "Why did you help me lie to the teacher?" Jiang Yuji buried his head again, pausing for 2 seconds before saying, "My mom asked me to take care of you more at school." I had already guessed this reason. "Aunt Jiang has always been very kind to me. I'll take care of you too from now on." Jiang Yuji glanced at me quickly. This time even the roots of his ears turned red, but a faint smile hovered at the corners of his mouth. In my past life, I was a slacker who got into the elite class through connections. Even after being reborn, this high school knowledge is still difficult for me. My stepbrother Jiang Yuji had been glancing at me repeatedly. When he looked at me and my workbook again, I suddenly turned to meet his gaze. "Jiang Yuji, I can't do this. Teach me." He didn't hesitate, as if he'd been waiting for me to ask. "Okay." When explaining problems, Jiang Yuji's voice was very soft. Even when I asked him the most basic questions, he would patiently answer, "Take notes on these, and next time you can just apply the formula directly." I worked on the problems very slowly, and only when I looked up did I realize he had been watching me the entire time. You got it right." The corners of Jiang Yuji's lips lifted slightly, forming a faint smile. He really doesn't hold grudges at all, whether in the past life or now. Whether it was because I got a question right or because Jiang Yuji's smile was contagious, I suddenly felt inexplicably happy and even had the urge to tease him. "Jiang Yuji, why aren't you calling me sis anymore?" I remember when his mother first brought him to my house. He was only 12 years old, the first time we met. He timidly called me big sister. For a long time after that, even when I gave him the cold shoulder, he still insisted on calling me sis, but later, I don't know when it started, I never heard him call again. Hearing this, the smile on Jiang Yuji's face suddenly froze, and he gave me a complicated glance. "Wasn't it you who told me not to call?" I had long forgotten about this matter. I awkwardly rubbed my nose. Then softening her voice, she coaxed him like a child. Will you still call me sister from now on? It was my fault before, I was just joking, Jian Yuji. Please keep calling me sister in the future. I love hearing you call me that. Boys his age are incredibly easy to coax. Jian Yuji turned his head away, and from my angle, I could only see his reddened ear. The next moment, I heard him respond softly, I pushed my luck. Then call me that right now. After staring at him for a long moment, I finally heard him reluctantly utter a single word, sis. That single word alone was enough to please me. As I turned back to continue working on the problems, I sensed a gaze fixed on me from behind. Turning around, I met Qingzhou's gaze directly. Perhaps he didn't expect me to turn suddenly, so the gloom on his face hadn't yet been concealed, but in the blink of an eye, Qingzhou's expression had returned to normal. He gave me a friendly smile. Yet I found his grin utterly insincere and repulsive at that moment. I turned my head with an expressionless face. Jian Yuji glanced at Qingzhou beside me and reminded me, do these problems first, sis. My earlier good mood vanished completely. Not even this sis could salvage it. Looking at the exercises he circled in the workbook, I responded softly, okay, after school. I followed my memories from my past life and found the private car that came to pick me up. Miss, please get in the car. Looking at the familiar face of the driver uncle, the joy of rebirth once again filled my heart. I glanced toward the school and said, wait a bit longer. Jian Yuji was called by the teacher. Let's wait for him. The uncle looked at me with a somewhat surprised expression, but still said nothing. Jian Yan, a familiar voice suddenly came from behind, and I froze in place. I lost my bus card. Can you lend me 2 yuan for the bus fare? This scene had also happened in my previous life. In my past life, Qingzhou also said the same words to me. Out of consideration for being desk mates, I asked for his home address, and upon learning we lived in the same neighborhood, I proactively invited him to ride home with me. Upon arriving at the neighborhood, we ran into an acquaintance, and he introduced me as his friend. Being friends with the young lady of the Jiang family, just this fact alone meant that from then on, he, this illegitimate child with an awkward status, would receive slightly more regard in the Qing family. In my past life, I thought all of this was coincidence, but now upon closer reflection, it seems deliberately arranged at every turn. Seeing my prolonged silence, Qingzhou called out to me again, Jiang Yan. I ignored him outright and waved to Jian Yuji, who had just exited the school gate. Been waiting for you forever. Let's go home together. Jian Yuji glanced at Qingzhou behind me, then ran toward me with a somewhat flattered expression. You waited for me on purpose, sis. I nodded and got into the car first. Even though my reaction now is completely different from my past life, Qingzhou still refuses to give up. He took a step forward, held the car door, and repeated, Jiang Yan. Can you lend me 2 yuan for the bus fare? I frowned coldly at him and said displeased, I don't have the habit of lending money to strangers. Sorry. Through the rearview mirror, I saw Qingzhou still standing there, looking puzzled and forlorn. 3. As soon as I got home, I saw my dad standing by the dining table setting out bowls and chopsticks. Memories from my past life came flooding back. My nose stung as I rushed over and hugged him tightly. Dad, seeing me cry. My dad flusteredly tried to comfort me. Even Aunt Jiang from the kitchen rushed over nervously and gathered around me. Yan, what's wrong? Were you bullied at school? She grabbed Jian Yuji to ask, but he just looked at me blankly and then shook his head. During the meal, Jian Yuji handed me a bowl of soup. Sis, I reached out to take it and casually said thanks, though it was just 2 simple words. The 3 people at home made a big fuss about it. Almost all the dishes on the table were my favorites. After tasting them, I said sincerely, the food today is really delicious. Aunt Jiang put down her chopsticks with a smile, glanced at my dad, then looked at me and said, the housekeeper took leave today, so I cooked the meal. I'm glad you like it. In my past life, I always held prejudices against Aunt Jiang and Jian Yuji, so I never ate the meal she prepared and even threw tantrums. Once flipping the table in anger, Yan. If you like it, Aunt Jiang can make it for you tomorrow too. Okay, Aunt Jiang cautiously probed. The dinner table suddenly fell silent, and everyone except me seemed to freeze in place, meeting their hopeful gazes. I nodded with a smile. Sure. All evening, my dad and Aunt Jiang were overjoyed, their smiles never fading. Even Jian Yuji was hovering around me, pouring me water and bringing me fruit, calling me sister several times. As I was about to leave, I overheard Aunt Jiang chatting with my dad. I heard the Qing family took in an illegitimate child, and the situation is quite difficult. My dad dismissed it casually, not our business, as long as our family stays harmonious. Dad, Aunt Jiang, I'm taking the dog out for a walk, I said to the 2 on the sofa. After changing shoes, I realized Jiang Yuji was also changing his shoes behind me. Where are you going? Jiang Yuji grinned at me. Sis, I'm going for a run. After reminding me to be careful, he ran off. I hadn't walked far when I saw someone standing under the trees ahead. I've been staring at that figure for 10 years. Of course it's familiar. It's Qing Zhou. I ignored him and kept walking. But Qing Zhou was clearly waiting here on purpose. Jiang Yan, he called me. Seeing that I didn't respond, Qing Zhou reached out to grab me, but was scared off by my golden retriever. Jiang Yan, I have something to ask you. The golden retriever was still snarling and barking at him. As I tightened the leash, I said calmly, classmate, I don't know you, so there's probably nothing for us to talk about, right? Qing Zhou was about to say something more when Jiang Yuji's voice came from not far away. He quickly ran over, giving Qing Zhou an unfriendly glance before turning to me. Sis, what's wrong? I heard Xiao Yuan barking nonstop. It's fine. I pulled the golden retriever to leave when a black car suddenly stopped beside us. The person who got out of the car was Qing Zhou's father. Xiao Zhou, why are you outside? Then, as if just noticing me, he feigned warmth. Isn't this the daughter of Chairman Jiang? I've been meaning to visit your father. Xiao Zhou is my son. You two know each other. We don't, Jiang Yuji and I said in unison. I've already experienced this kind of thing in my past life. Qing Zhou somehow found out that I take my dog for walks in the evening, so he deliberately waited near my house. It was both to get closer to me and to ensure his father would see him associating with me, the sole heir of the Jiang family. When returning home, Uncle Qing, is it? I spoke politely. Please keep your son under control. He's scaring my dog. Without waiting for the father and son to react, Jiang Yuji and I had already left. From behind came the curses of Qing Zhou's father. You little brat, rein in all your crafty schemes. Don't be full of devious ideas like your mother. If it weren't for her threats, you wouldn't even have the right to step through the Qing family's door. And Qing Zhou remained completely silent the entire time. Only after walking far away did the gaze following us from behind finally vanish. Sis, do you know that guy? Jiang Yuji suddenly asked me. I don't know you. 4. Qing Zhou was good-looking and academically excellent. Just a few weeks after transferring, girls flocked like a school of fish to see him after class every day. Half of the chattering girls outside the window came to see Jiang Yuji, the other half came to see Qing Zhou. Because of this, many boys in the class complained, but due to my attitude toward Jiang Yuji, they could only direct their anger at Qing Zhou. During free activity time in PE class, on my way to the convenience store to buy water, I saw Qing Zhou being cornered by several boys behind a secluded teaching building. Noticing me passing by, Qing Zhou looked at me with pleading eyes, yet I still just gave a quick glance and pretended not to see. Walking straight past, I've learned enough lessons from my past life. Every time Qing Zhou got into trouble, it was always me who stepped forward for him repeatedly. Didn't my sincere efforts and endless care ultimately fail to bring me a happy ending? So, in this lifetime, I've resolved to be an indifferent villain. By doing nothing at all, I can already make Qing Zhou suffer immensely. I had only finished one page of exercises when Jiang Yuji returned to the classroom. I handed him tissues and water. Why are you back so soon? He twisted open the bottle cap, and when he tilted his head back to drink, the movement of his Adam's apple was clearly visible. I somewhat awkwardly averted my gaze. Can you do all of them? Noticing the workbook in front of me, Jiang Yuji asked. I was about to answer when I saw the boys who had been giving Qing Zhou trouble earlier return to the classroom. Do you think Qing Zhou has a problem? Why did he deliberately provoke us just now? Yeah, clearly he started it with us. But just as we were about to take action, he apologized. Hearing this, I could only let out a cold laugh in my heart. Qing Zhou really went to great lengths to get close to me. Little did he know, the person inhabiting this body was no longer the innocent and kind 17-year-old Jiang Yan from before. 5. Over the weekend, Jiang Yuji accompanied me to study at the library. We arrived quite late, and almost all the seats in the library were already taken. After finally finding an empty seat, I was about to ask if it was taken when I realized the person was Qing Zhou. He saw me too, then moved his things aside, silently inviting us to sit down. Before I could speak, Jiang Yuji had already grabbed my wrist. Sis, let's go to the second floor. There are seats there. As we left, he even shot Qing Zhou a warning glance. After finishing 2 test papers, I rotated my stiff neck and suddenly heard Jiang Yuji whisper beside me. Sis, why did you suddenly want to study? Memories of my past life flashed through my mind. I forced a bitter smile and said, no reason. I just suddenly didn't want to be a good-for-nothing anymore, propping my chin with one hand. I looked down at the densely written answers on the test paper. You know what? I had a dream. In it, our family suddenly encountered misfortune. but I couldn't help it all. The person I once liked most said I was just a useless waste. It was just casual venting. But Jiang Yuji actually took it seriously. He looked at me seriously, his expression grave as he said, "That was just a dream, no matter what happens. Uncle Jiang would never say such things to you." I shook my head. It wasn't my dad. Hearing my reply, Jiang Yuji fell silent for 2 seconds, then blushed and averted his eyes from mine. I wouldn't say such things to you either. The gloom in my heart instantly dissipated, watching the blushing Jiang Yuji. I laughed until I couldn't straighten up. After finishing my homework, I got up and wandered around the library. Suddenly, a shadow rushed from behind and forcefully pulled me into the emergency stairway outside. I was about to cry for help when my mouth was immediately covered by someone. Qingzhou's familiar voice whispered in my ear, "Yan Yan, long time no see." He pinned me against the wall, his lips near my ear, breathing rapidly as he said excitedly, "You've been reborn too, haven't you?" I realized that the things I had just said to Jiang Yuji might have been overheard by Qingzhou, but he said he was also reborn. "Yan Yan, I came back for you." Qingzhou looked at me with deep affection in his eyes, but I knew all too well how skilled he was at deception. My heart raced with fear as I reached out and pushed him away abruptly. Qingzhou refused to relent, pinning me between himself and the hallway wall once more. "Yan Yan, let me explain about our past life, okay? It wasn't what you thought." The strength disparity between men and women was inherently unequal. Unable to resist, I could only feign temporary compliance. I asked him, "Then what was it? Wasn't it you, Qingzhou, who destroyed my family?" His expression was one of extreme agony, his lips trembling for a long moment before he could only force out the words, "I have my reasons. Whatever grand reasons you have are none of my concern." Seizing the moment when his guard was down, I tightened my grip on the pen in my hand and stabbed it fiercely into his arm, then used the momentum to push him down the stairs. "Stay away from me from now on, don't dirty my sight." With that, I pulled open the emergency exit and fled as if escaping a disaster, only to crash straight into Jiang Yuji's arms. He steadied me, perhaps sensing my unease, and softly reassured me, "Sis, what's wrong?" I shook my head, barely managing to stop my body from trembling. "I'm fine, let's go. Time to head back." Jiang Yuji lifted his eyelids to glance at the emergency exit door, his expression somewhat gloomy. "Sis, go ahead and wait for me there. I'll just use the restroom and be right back." Without giving it much thought, I turned and walked back to my seat. When Jiang Yuji returned, I noticed the injuries on his face. "Why did it take so long? And what happened to your face?" Jiang Yuji lowered his head to avoid my gaze. I fell in the restroom, going downstairs from the second floor. I ran into Qingzhou again. He looked even more disheveled than before, with inexplicable bruises on his face. Connecting this with the injuries on Jiang Yuji's face, I instantly understood. Noticing my gaze lingering on Qingzhou, Jiang Yuji stepped sideways to block my view. "Sis, don't look at him. He clearly doesn't look like a good person." 6. Jiang Yan, the homeroom teacher wants to see you in the office. I was just about to leave when Jiang Yuji glanced at Qingzhou's seat, then picked up the stack of homework he'd just collected and called out to me, "Sis, wait for me. I'll go with you." Qingzhou was already in the office when we arrived, and the physics teacher seemed to be discussing competition matters with him. From the moment I entered, his gaze remained fixed on me. Jiang Yuji placed the homework notebook on the teacher's desk and said to me as he left, "Sis, I'll wait for you outside." The homeroom teacher teased with a smile, "How come our grade's top student is such a sister's boy? Can't bear to be apart from your sister for even a moment, huh?" Jiang Yuji flushed but didn't refute, tacitly acknowledging the teacher's words, though before leaving, he stole another glance at Qingzhou. "Jiang Yan, your grades have improved a lot recently. Keep up the good work." The homeroom teacher then gave some additional academic instructions. When I left the office, I didn't see Jiang Yuji, but Qingzhou was standing at the stairwell, clearly waiting for me. I ignored him and prepared to return to the classroom. Qingzhou chased after me and blocked my path. "Didn't you hate your stepbrother the most before? Why are you so close to him now? Yan Yan, why has everything changed? Didn't you like me the most before? Why won't you even give me a glance now?" I scoffed. "Don't flatter yourself." As I turned to leave again, Qingzhou grabbed my wrist and said in a hoarse voice, "Yan Yan, give me another chance, please." "No." I tried to shake him off but failed, hearing footsteps in the stairwell. I warned Qingzhou, "Let go." He stared at me persistently, his eyes filled with sorrow. "Sis." The footsteps belonged to Jiang Yuji. His gaze fell on my wrist where Qingzhou was gripping me, his eyes instantly turning fierce as he rushed forward and pushed Qingzhou away. "Sis, did he bully you?" Seeing my slightly reddened wrist, Jiang Yuji turned around, grabbed Qingzhou by the collar, and growled in a low voice, Did you forget how the hell I warned you last time? Stay the hell away from my sister. Qingzhou curled his lips mockingly. Still have the nerve to call her sister. Everyone can see through your little scheme. Both wore hostile expressions and soon came to blows. Jiang Yuji. I intervened just in time. Jiang Yuji, who had already clenched his fist ready to strike Qingzhou, suddenly froze. With reddened eyes, he turned to look at me plaintively. Sis, I walked over and grabbed him. Let's go. Class has already started. After saying that, I glanced at Qingzhou again. No need to get physical with someone like him. Hearing this, Qingzhou's pupils trembled slightly, his eyes instantly filling with tears. Ever since Qingzhou found out that I, like him, had been reborn, his appearances around me became increasingly frequent. Jiang Yuji's temper visibly worsened, even leading to multiple public physical altercations with Qingzhou. Rumors about me and Qingzhou kept spreading throughout the school. When summoned to the homeroom teacher's office again, I couldn't hide my irritation. This final year of high school is crucial. I expect you all to focus on your studies. Recently, you too, teacher. I rarely interrupted elders so rudely. I have no interest in Qingzhou whatsoever, but he keeps harassing me. It's seriously affecting my studies. He's causing me great distress. I hope you can have a proper talk with Qingzhou. If you can't resolve this, I'll have to ask my father to come discuss it with the principal. After I finished speaking, the homeroom teacher was stunned, then turned to Qingzhou. Is everything Jiang Yan said true? Qingzhou remained silent for a moment, then nodded in admission. Jiang Yan, you go back to the classroom first. The teacher will handle this matter. I nodded and left. As soon as I stepped out, I saw Jiang Yuji waiting outside the office. I knew he was worried about me. After returning to the classroom, the female classmate in front of me turned around and asked, "Did the homeroom teacher talk to you about you and Qingzhou?" Before I could answer, she continued, "Actually, we've all noticed Qingzhou likes you. He keeps sneaking glances at you during class and always follows you around." I smiled indifferently. "Oh really?" She nodded, but Jiang Yuji grew impatient and reminded her, "Class is starting." The female classmate pursed her lips, cast a complicated glance at Jiang Yuji, and eventually turned back resentfully. 7. On Saturday, Jiang Yuji had a physics competition. In the over a year since my rebirth, he and I had been practically inseparable every moment. "Go get him," I said. Watching Jiang Yuji enter the venue, I had just sat down on the bench outside the venue when a figure stood before me. Yan Yan. I didn't look up, recognizing Qingzhou's voice immediately. In his hand was a transparent bag containing competition entry passes. Clearly, he was here for the contest too. Qingzhou crouched down in front of me, looking up earnestly. "Yan Yan, can we talk properly? What terrible luck." As I stood up to distance myself from him, I heard Qingzhou's threatening words from behind. "If you refuse to talk, I'll go in and speak with Jiang Yuji instead. All I need is to spread a few lies, and he can forget about competing in that final." "What do you want to talk about?" I interrupted him impatiently. Ever since my rebirth, I've always found him utterly despicable, yet he insists on putting on this pitiful act in front of me. Qingzhou took a step closer to me, nervously clenching his hands at his sides. "I want to apologize for what happened in our past life. I truly never intended for your father's company to go bankrupt, nor did I expect you to suddenly pass away in a car accident. Yan Yan, I admit that at first I approached you with ulterior motives, but later my feelings for you became genuine. I was just too impatient. I just wanted to become strong enough to be worthy of you." I glanced up at the digital clock above the venue. There's only 1 minute left before the competition starts. After that, Qingzhou won't be able to enter and participate, nor will he disturb Jiang Yuji anymore. You don't know how I survived those years after your death. The engagement was fake. I've only ever loved you, from beginning to end. Otherwise, I wouldn't have lived so recklessly after losing you, dying within a few years just to see you again. As he spoke, he gave a self-mocking smile, the corner of his mouth twitching, and I never gave him any response from start to finish. Even a dog would shake its head at these lies of his. How could someone who loves another bear to drag them into the mire? "Yan Yan, please forgive me. Let's start over." Watching the security guard close the venue's gate, I finally smiled with satisfaction. "Good, now you can't get in." Qingzhou didn't even turn around, just looked at me gloomily and said, "I guessed you'd accompany Jiang Yuji here today. So you were my target from the beginning." "Oh." I walked over to the security guard, and Qingzhou followed me. "But this is exactly what I wanted, Uncle Security. This person is harassing me." I pretended to be scared as I called for the security guard's help. Sure enough, the security guard shielded me behind him. "I thought you looked suspicious earlier, kid," Qingzhou tried to explain, but was ultimately chased out by the security guard. 8. After learning that Jiang Yuji won first place in the physics competition and was directly admitted to Peking University. My dad and Aunt Jiang were so happy they couldn't sleep for several nights. Our Yuji is just brilliant, my dad said, then glanced at me. Our Yan Yan is smart too. Look how much she's improved in such a short time. I smiled without speaking. I had thought that after being directly admitted, Jiang Yuji might not go to school anymore. The next day, he still went out with me. Before the college entrance exams, I have to supervise your studies, Jiang Yuji explained. In the 2 months leading up to the college entrance exams, everyone in the family was anxious except for me. To save time, Jiang Yuji suggested having lunch in the cafeteria. This way you can have more time for a nap instead of running back and forth. Midway through the meal, Qingzhou suddenly sat down beside me. Jiang Yuji and I exchanged glances, neither of us acknowledging him. Sis, you shouldn't be picky, you should eat carrots too. They're good for your eyes, Qingzhou, who had been silent all along, suddenly spoke up. Yan Yan doesn't like carrots. I wasn't planning to eat it originally, but hearing those words, I immediately finished all the carrots on my plate right in front of Qingzhou. Seeing this, Qingzhou's expression turned stern. By the time we finished eating and left, he had barely touched the food on his plate. While working on problems in the afternoon, Jiang Yuji suddenly asked me beside me, Sis, besides carrots, is there anything else you don't like to eat? Yes, I nodded solemnly, then listed a whole bunch of foods I dislike. After speaking, Jiang Yuji suddenly laughed. Raising you to this age was truly no easy feat for our family. At noon the next day, Jiang Yuji left early. When I finally looked up after finishing the exam, the classroom was completely empty. Going to the cafeteria at this hour will probably mean standing in a long queue again. Just as I was hesitating whether to go out and grab some quick bites, Qingzhou placed bread and milk on my desk. I noticed you didn't go for lunch, so I brought these for you. The moment I showed a look of annoyance, the items on the desk were immediately shoved back into Qingzhou's arms. My sister never eats this kind of stuff. Then, right in front of Qingzhou, he opened the thermal lunchbox. It was filled with all my favorite dishes. Sis, I'll come home after second period every day from now on and bring you meals. After getting the guaranteed admission, the teachers really didn't restrict him much, but wouldn't that be too much trouble? Jiang Yuji leaned on the table watching me eat, smiling. No trouble at all. I enjoy cooking. Did you make this yourself? I asked with raised eyebrows. Is it good? I nodded sincerely. Super delicious. At the high school senior pledge rally, Jiang Yuji gave a speech on stage. I gazed at the spirited young man on stage, feeling an indescribable mix of emotions in my heart. In my past life, I had also attended the oath-taking ceremony, with Jiang Yuji as the speaker just like now, but my state of mind back then was completely different from what it is now. You're not developing feelings for some 17 to 18-year-old brat, are you? The mocking voice beside me snapped me back to reality. Jiang Yan, get a grip. You've lived 2 lifetimes. The mental age gap between you and a kid like Jiang Yuji is astronomical. You two are completely mismatched. What's more, he's your... I gave him the chance to finish his sentence. I looked at him with disgust and sneered. Then who would be suitable for me? You. Qingzhou seemed oblivious to the sarcasm in my words. Staring into my eyes, he said earnestly, Jiang Yan, I'm the one you loved for over a decade. We share the same experiences. We understand each other. No one in this world is more suitable for you than me. This person is really thick-skinned. Seeing Jiang Yuji already descending from the stage, he didn't like Qingzhou appearing by my side, and I felt the same aversion, so I urgently wanted to drive him away. Who I like is none of your business. Rather than worrying about me, you should worry about yourself. Life in the Qing family hasn't been easy for you, has it? That remark really hit him where it hurts. Qingzhou's face darkened, and after a long pause he finally spoke. I no longer care about those things. I came back for you. I asked him, do you even believe this nonsense yourself? 9. On the day of the college entrance exams, Jiang Yuji, who had already received early admission, acted even more nervous than I was. Sis, could you double-check if you've forgotten anything? This was already the 4th time he'd asked me to check, but I obediently went through everything once more. After finishing the last exam subject, Jiang Yuji, my dad, and Aunt Jiang were all waiting for me outside. In the evening, our classmates organized a dinner gathering. As the only one in our class who got recommended admission to Peking University, Jiang Yuji naturally got pressured to drink quite a lot. After taking a taxi to the outside of the neighborhood, I walked a few steps forward before realizing Jiang Yuji hadn't followed me. Turning around, I saw him still standing where we got off the car, gazing at me from afar. Sis, I drank too much. My head is spinning. Can you come over and hold my hand as we walk? I'm in a good mood today. I walked over with a smile, holding his hand, happy now. Whether it was the alcohol or not, Jian Yuji's face was burning red. He looked down at our clasped hands, walking for a long while before softly murmuring MHM. His voice lifted at the end, and the smile never left his face. Until I met Qingzhou in the neighborhood, Qingzhou's gaze fell on our intertwined hands, mine and Jian Yuji's, his eyes instantly reddening as he choked out, "Yen Yen," like a man possessed. He rushed toward us, staring at Jian Yuji, then back at me, disbelief written all over his face. "You too." Jian Yuji tightened his grip on my hand, smirking at Qingzhou. "Sis, why does he keep haunting us like a ghost? Now he's no longer drunk. His head isn't dizzy either, completely sober." I ignored Qingzhou and walked straight past him. Only when we reached the doorstep did I let go of Jian Yuji's hand, smiling. "Great acting." Jian Yuji flexed the hand I'd just released, his ears turning crimson. My coming-of-age ceremony at 18 was celebrated together with my college admission banquet. Even though my college entrance exam scores only qualified me for an average first-tier university, my father still went all out to host a grand dinner for me. He made a huge fuss, boasting to everyone he met, "My daughter got into a first-tier university. How incredible is that?" The regrets from my past life were finally made up for in this one, and I became my father's pride. At the banquet, the Qing family intentionally sought to establish marital ties with ours. "Chairman Jiang, your daughter is about the same age as my sons. See if any catch your eye, let's join our families." Without even glancing at the three men behind Mr. Qing, my father declined with a smile. Young people these days value free will and love. Besides, with my current standing, there's no need for my daughter to marry for alliance. I noticed Qingzhou's expression faltered slightly upon hearing my father's words. He must have recalled how, in our past life, my father treated him as an honored guest, introducing him to North City's elite circles, all because I loved him, and now he could only trail behind his two older brothers, serving as an insignificant background character. After all the guests had left, Aunt Jiang finally wheeled out the birthday cake she had made together with Jian Yuji. Just as they were about to light the candles and make a wish, Jian Yuji suddenly spoke up. "Mom, could you and Uncle Jiang go turn off the lights?" Everyone at home was so excited tonight that neither of them gave Jian Yuji's request much thought and went together to switch off the lights. The moment the light went out, I closed my eyes and made a wish. But then I heard Jian Yuji's calm voice beside me. "Happy birthday, sis." He tucked a loose strand of hair behind my ear. "After today you'll be an adult, so this is the last time I'll call you sis." Before I could process the meaning behind his words, the overhead lights flickered back on, the whole family started singing the birthday song for me, and Jian Yuji's words were temporarily pushed to the back of my mind. 10. I woke up in the morning to the sound of fighting outside. Neither my dad nor Aunt Jiang were home, and calling out to Jian Yuji twice got no response. Puzzled, I walked downstairs and saw Jian Yuji and Qingzhou tangled together outside the floor-to-ceiling window. After glancing around, I grabbed a bottle of red wine from the liquor cabinet and rushed out, pushing Qingzhou aside. I shielded Jian Yuji behind me. "Are you fucking insane? Having lived 2 lifetimes, this was the first time I'd ever cursed someone out." Behind me, Jian Yuji wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and glared coldly at Qingzhou. "You went through all this trouble to provoke me into a fight, just to make Jiang Yan come out and look at you, didn't you? Happy now?" Qingzhou saw the liquor bottle in my hand. He's no fool. He could guess it was meant to smash over his head. Instantly, his expression turned desolate, the pain in his eyes unmistakable, but I remained unmoved, my voice icy. "Qingzhou, people need the ability to move on. Stop clinging relentlessly. This behavior of yours only makes me despise you more. Don't ever show your face in front of me again, or I'll make sure you never set foot in Beijing for the rest of your life." After dragging Jian Yuji into the room, I scolded him again. "You think you're something now, don't you? You've even learned to start fights with people. What did you just call me? Jiang Yan this and Jiang Yan that. Since when do you get to call me by my name?" Jian Yuji glanced at me cautiously, avoiding my gaze. "Last night I already told you, that was the last time I'll call you sister." As if struggling with something, he turned back and looked seriously into my eyes. "Jiang Yan, you're an adult now. I won't call you sister anymore. I like you, so I don't want to just treat you as a sister." These words rooted me to the spot, leaving me unable to regain my composure for a long time. That evening, the atmosphere at the dinner table was extremely awkward. No matter how many times my dad and Aunt Jiang tried to smooth things over, they couldn't change the subtle tension between me and Jian Yuji. When I came back from walking the dog, I saw Jian Yuji and Aunt Jiang coming out of my father's study, both looking rather upset. Just as I was about to ask, my father also emerged from the study. "Yen Yen, come to my study." In the study, My father mentioned how my mother passed away from difficult labor when I was born, and all these years, he's always worried he hasn't taken good enough care of me, but my Yan is amazing. Not only excelling in studies but also outstanding in everything else. I could tell he was just beating around the bush, so I cut straight to the point. Dad, what exactly do you want to say? What happened? He sighed. After you left, Yuji called me and his mother into the study. He said he likes you and wants to be with you. Actually, I've noticed he treats you differently. I just never thought about it in this way. My father carefully observed my expression. Seeing that I remained silent, he continued. Yan, your dad and Aunt Jiang are open-minded parents. If you also like Yuji, don't worry about our feelings. Although Aunt Jiang just beat Yuji, she and I both will still respect your own choices. Dad can even send you abroad, to a place where no one knows you. My only wish in this life is for you to be happy and live a joyful life. There's no doubt my father loves me. Even in my past life when I truly became the useless person Qingzhou described, he never once spoke a harsh word to me. Dad, I said earnestly, holding his hand. I'm not going anywhere. I just want to stay by your side. As for the matter between me and Jiang Yuji, I'll handle it properly. 11. During summer vacation, I didn't go traveling but went straight to intern at my father's company. By the time I graduated and officially joined the company, I had already gained some reputation there. Jiang Yuji didn't join my father's company, being clever. He formed a team in college to start his own business, with my father's support. Jiang Yuji's company has now begun to thrive. I saw Qingzhou again at a charity gala. Without my help in this lifetime, he remains nothing more than an illegitimate child in an awkward position. Qingzhou smiled when he saw me, but as he approached to greet me, staff stopped him. Sir, this is the VIP area, you can't enter. Please return to your seat. Now he can no longer pester me. And even meeting me once is extremely difficult. I also know a few big shots nearby. And I heard them talking about Qingzhou. That illegitimate child of the Qing family is recently working on some new energy project and even came to my company to seek investment. I know about this too. Old Wang, are you investing? Sigh. Out of respect for the Qing family, it's hard to refuse. And besides, new energy is definitely going to be a major trend in the future. From their conversation, I learned that Qingzhou and Jiang Yuji were working in the same field. I raised an eyebrow with a smile and proactively greeted the Wang family's leader beside me. Uncle Wang, it's been a while since I last saw you. Just now I heard you mention new energy. My younger brother is currently working in this field too. If you're considering investments, I'll thank all you uncles on his behalf. Uncle Wang and several other uncles nodded with smiles. Yan, since you put it this way, how could we not support Yuji? These are people who have been through decades of business battles. They'd instantly grasp the implications in my words. Moreover, with the Jiang family's growing influence in recent years, they'd naturally want to do me this favor. After today, Qingzhou won't secure a single investment in North City. This is the gap between him and me now. Without lifting a finger, I can make his fate completely different from his past life, or with just a casual remark, send him crashing to the bottom. Never to rise again. 12. Jiang Yuji's company went public in the US after changing its name. Reading the online news, I couldn't help but frown. He renamed the company to JY, the abbreviation of my name. On the day Jiang Yuji returned to the country, I personally went to the airport to pick him up and threw a stack of documents at him. Jiang Yuji, you're getting bolder by the day. Jiang Yuji caught the documents with a smile, flipped through a few pages, then met my gaze. So you found out, Jiang Yan, JY is my dowry. Would you reconsider giving me another chance? I slammed the car door shut and gritted my teeth to squeeze out 2 words. No way. That stack of documents was actually a share transfer agreement. Jiang Yuji had transferred 70% of JY's shares to my name. I've known him for 2 lifetimes. Yet now it feels like I never truly understood Jiang Yuji. It seems even the Jiang Yuji I knew from high school days isn't the same person anymore. It was just the 2 of us in the car. After a few seconds of silence, I finally heard Jiang Yuji's voice. Jiang Yan, give me one reason. Okay, why can't it be me? Watching Qingzhou approach me step by step, I instinctively stood up abruptly. I tightened my grip on the steering wheel. Then began recounting that dream about a past life I'd once mentioned to him. Don't be fooled by our mere 2-month age difference. Truthfully, I've always seen you as just a little kid. After the college entrance exam, those words you said to my dad, I only thought you were momentarily impulsive. Jiang Yuji straightened up and turned to look at me. Jiang Yan, it's been 9 years since that summer after senior year. Why won't you just believe me? He sounded like he was accusing someone, his tone carrying an indescribable grievance. Are you afraid I'm just acting on a whim? From age 17 to now at 26, I've been following you around for 9 years. After this birthday, it'll be 10. I don't have many decades in this lifetime. How could this possibly be some impulsive infatuation? The car drove through the tunnel, and I glanced at Jiang Yuji in the rearview mirror. The tunnel lights flickered across his face. Jiang Yen. Give me a chance, okay, I know what I want. As he spoke these words, his face was turned toward the car window, his voice choked with emotion. My heart suddenly skipped a beat. Okay, only after speaking did I realize what I had done, but there was no taking it back. Jiang Yuji's previously gloomy face instantly lit up with radiance. Rubbing his eyes, he asked uncertainly, really? But before I could answer, he continued, don't even think about denying it, I heard everything. Emerging from the tunnel, I raised my eyes to look at the sky. The moon was full, and the stars were shining brightly. It suddenly occurred to me that agreeing to give it a try with Jiang Yuji wasn't such a bad idea after all.